From Studio A in Texas, USA, it's the award-winning All Things Automotive Car Talk Show in real time. Just ahead on today's 3-hour show, the 2021 Subaru Crosstrek review. We'll also have a look at the 2021 racing calendar. We begin a new series with Ryan Ainsley and his car adventures, kind of. And we'll have the stories making automotive news headlines this week. That and more just ahead on today's In Real Time Car Show for the first Saturday of the new year.
Happy New Year.
January 2nd, 2021. Howdy, along with Mike out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. Jeffrey Zekin is just off camera. You'll see him in a little while when he does his pre-owned car of the week. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad that you could join us on this Saturday. It's chilly here in the Houston, Texas area. 39 degrees was the last time I looked at the temperature.
Yeah, it's our second day of winter this year.
Yeah, I got the heater going. And
it's only the second day of the year.
Well, we only have about 10 days worth of winter, so we can't use them all up at one time.
What's the date? What date is today?
It's the 2nd. Okay. How many days do we have?
2021.
Okay.
Don't you? Yeah.
So it's so nice to look with 2020 hindsight.
So now you don't have to go 2-0 on your keyboard. It's 2-1, and those are right next to each other.
Well,
so it's easier to
2-0 and 2-1. You got to put all 4 digits in it. You can't just do 20.
We do 4-digit dialing here.
Okay, well, you guys go ahead and waste your time and energy on that, and I'll just do it my way. Well, we've got actually a pretty nice show lined up for you today. We're going to spend a lot of time, with Alec Udell, who is a road course racer. And I guess he and his family own that go-kart track up near Humble.
Yep. Houston Karting Complex,
yeah.
HKC.
And I fly over it every once in a while. Boy, is that a nice place.
Yeah, they host some car events there with some regularity as well. So it's not just karting, but not that they have cars on the track, but they host meets and stuff there. With
in the parking lot and stuff. Yeah, so that ought to be a good conversation we're going to have with him throughout the morning. So I thought we'd start off this morning with Automotive News 2020's hits and misses. And it just so happens we start with the hits.
All right.
And we'll end with the misses.
Well, you've had 3 misses.
I knew he was going.
Somebody had to do
it.
Somebody had to do it.
Well, you know, in the English language, there are lots of definitions for the same type of word. Mm-hmm. And this one is, shall we say, hits and faux pas. How's that? I think that would be French, wouldn't it? Faux pas?
Foobar.
Okay, you say that. I'll divert to you.
Go with
I like misses.
So the number one hit of the year is the Ford Bronco family. I think that it's...
Well, to be a hit of 2021 because they've kind of delayed the launch of the car.
Of the actual real Bronco, the Bronco Sport is now out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So half of the equation is out.
The one they're going to sell the most of is out.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
You think they'll sell more of the big one?
It's not the big one.
It's the Sport.
I would say the Sport is actually bigger than the actual Bronco.
Are there any numbers out on what they've sold so far?
No, it's sold out for this year because they just took orders.
So is that like 200,000?
The return of Ford's Wrangler rival generated online buzz and a strong pre-order bank. Bronco may now be delayed, however, until the summer of 2021, but the Bronco Sport appears to be off to a strong start in sales. They didn't give numbers. We don't have to do all that. We don't get that deep into it. We're just doing hits and misses, okay?
That's true.
Another hit was the Land Rover Defender 110. This is according to Automotive News.
But I would not put that on the hit parade, but I guess...
Still, demand has been brisk globally and is likely to remain so as output of the smaller Defender 90 begins this year.
Okay.
Here's one for you that Automotive News thinks is a hit. The Ineos Grenadier.
Who? In Grenadier, something you put in a drink?
It's the red stuff you put in a drink.
Yeah.
In a tequila sunrise.
For those still pining for the original Defender, an all-new off-road vehicle that looks like that classic is expected to start production late this year at a former Daimler plant in France. Here we're talking, really? The Grenadier, or Grenadier, is a...
Oh, boy.
is a
Those
close
French
copy
lessons
of
are
the
paying
original Land Rover Defender that went out of production in 2016, but it is now powered by a BMW engine and has modern underpinnings, and it should deliver what the old Defenders failed to do, a waterproof and windproof ride. Okay, well, good luck on that.
So they got rid of the Lucas wiring in it so they run better, right?
I guess. Another hit would be the Chevrolet Trailblazer. Really? Who says GM's mass market brand is only good at sports cars and big trucks? The Trailblazer. Who is it that's fiddling with their microphone?
Have you had a Trailblazer to drive?
Not lately, but I did drive it.
Oh, I had.
It starts under $20,000, has quietly become one of the industry's fastest turning nameplates. What does that mean exactly? In an increasingly crowded and surging segment, small crossovers. Whose palm are they greasing by making that a hit?
Well, fastest turning means that they don't sit on the dealer's lots very long.
Okay.
So it's just the turnover of the vehicle. You know, we always talk about inventory at the dealerships, about days supply. So it's fastest turning means it has a very low days supply.
Well, you know, I don't know about you. And, you know, I've always been a Chevy man, only because I've been a Chevy man. No reason. Dad didn't drive a Chevy. He drove Buicks. And I guess in a distance, I'm kind of a Buick fan, but not enough to go buy one. And I've always been a Chevy guy. I think GM makes a great engine, or engines, for decades now. But the Chevy Trailblazer, things under $20,000 for an SUV, when every manufacturer in the entire world builds a small or subcompact SUV, how, other than the name Chevrolet, why would that be at the top of the list?
I actually have no idea.
Because in my estimation, and Mars can chime in here, of all of the subcompact SUVs that are out there,
that's not the one that comes to mind.
No.
I actually owned a Trailblazer.
Well, but
yeah, but that was a different generation.
A real Trailblazer. This really is more of a CUV.
Right.
The other one had a full frame. It was an SUV.
Right.
And but it's become much like the rest of them. And I think if you take the badging off of it, there's a whole bunch of them.
You wouldn't
like
know
that.
the difference.
Yeah, there's several of them. You take the badges off of them, put them side by side, and you couldn't pick them
Well,
out.
the reason I had a Trailblazer, I couldn't afford a Tahoe, and it was a mini Tahoe. Is what
Right,
it was.
Right.
at
Exactly.
the time.
And it actually came in a long wheelbase as
Right.
well.
I had this 2-row. I didn't have the 3rd row. But yeah, it was a great vehicle.
Particularly if you happen to be able to get one of the SSs with a 350
Well,
in it.
that was a good step
but
up from that.
but this Trailblazer is not the same. This
Right.
one
No,
is basically a subcompact. Now, why would it have such a good turnover? I'm going to tell you, there was a point in time where dealers had no inventory of anything except for Blazers and Trailblazers. Now, Blazer's a little bit bigger than the Trailblazer, and that may be why the turnover
But
rate
the
was
new
so good on
Blazer
it.
looks like every other midsize SUV, CUV on the market today.
And
they
the
all look
Trailblazer's
alike,
a smaller version of it. Yeah.
I guess. But anyway, that's just my take
Yeah.
on it.
That's
So
weird.
another hit is the Tesla Model Y. Launched in early 2020, it's on track to become Tesla's top seller worldwide,
I would give that a hit for sure.
at least in 2021, yes. Another hit, the Cadillac Escalade OLED screen. The screen.
Oh, is that that's the curved one, isn't it?
By borrowing organic light-emitting diode technology commonly found in high-end TVs and consumer electronics, the 38-inch screen sets the standard for high-definition clarity in automotive screens. That's a hit. Not the car, but the screen.
That's in the dashboard?
I think it kind of comes across the whole dash. It's got the
Correct.
The gauge pod is part of it. The HVAC is part of it. The radio nav is part of it, but it is one big screen. And if I remember correctly, I think there's a curve, or it's not a flat screen. I think it actually has a curve.
And
So
there's
you can see
actually
all
a
of it.
screen that for the passenger involved in it as well.
You had a vehicle that you
somebody-
did a review on.
Right. I don't think
one
that
of
was it.
Lexus or something did one. It came out of the middle and came all the way across in front of the driver. So it was a really big,
Correct.
kind of put the center stack and the gauge
Right.
pod and
I
everything.
think
together.
that's what this does as
yeah.
well.
Well, but 34 inches, it's a lot bigger.
Hit new maneuverability. Rivian was first to demonstrate the new performance possibilities that multiple electric motors are capable of. The R1T Rivian can tank turn in place by spinning the wheels on the left and right of the vehicle in opposite directions. GMC's Hummer EV, set for a fall 2021 launch, can go into crab mode with rear wheel steering that enables diagonal driving in extremely tight areas. What would be the purpose in either one of those? Who would ever use that and why?
Whenever they demonstrate it on TV and their commercials and stuff, they're in an off-road situation where it's a very narrow trail in between a bunch of rocks. That's the only place you'd use it.
I would think that when they first introduced it, it was for parking purposes.
Like at Walmart, that's the other place you could use it.
It was for parking purposes, or monster trucking.
Who would actually, all the ones that they sell, if they sold 10,000 of those 10,000, how many of those would actually use that function?
Probably less than 0.1%.
Correct. But be my guess.
But you go back to, it's the notoriety of we have it, nobody else does, and that gives them a marketing tool. You know, you go back mid-2000s, 2006, 2010-ish, GMC offered four-wheel steering on their trucks. And they literally had a rack and pinion and built onto the rear differential that would steer the rear tires. It would counter steer when you were parking, so the front tires would turn left and the rear tires would turn right to give you a tighter turning circle, and it would crab steer at high speeds, so both tires would turn the same direction at high speeds. They sold it for maybe about three years, and it went away.
Yeah.
And now, I don't even think you can buy parts for it.
It's kind of like the swivel seats that came out in about 1970 or so.
Those were in Oldsmobiles.
73,
Yeah.
Oldsmobile, Pontiac in the Grand Prix.
And the Chevy Monte Carlo.
Chevy Monte Carlo, Buick
That,
Regal, or
and then
Century.
there was the other one, not only the steering wheel tilt, but you could push it out of the way.
I think that was
on T-Birds.
T-Bird item.
T-Birds.
How long did those things last? They were gimmicks. Is what they were, because you never... First of all, the rotating seats.
Well, I think those don't really pass crash tests
anymore. But at the time, it was just a novelty.
Yeah, but the tilt wheel is still
but
in
a cool,
existence.
a cool novelty. I mean, there's a
guess.
collectability
sold
to
cars.
those cars.
But
right.
the issue is
It's a
that
marketing tool.
If
Right.
you are looking at your budget, you're going, why would I spend another $2,000 on my car on that, as opposed to a $2,000 upgrade for something else that would actually make sense?
Well, I would think that if somebody's
Whose
looking,
microphone is that?
That was me. I just bumped it.
I would think that people that are looking at those kind of cars, that wouldn't be that big a deal. If you're really that worried about your budget, you're not going to be looking at a Monte Carlo or the Cutlass that's got those kind of options available on
You
it.
talked about crabbing when you're driving down the road on the rear steer. Wasn't it you couldn't do that over a certain mile per hour?
Well, the counter steer and what was called in-phase steering changed at a certain mile an hour. So when you were going slow, the car would counter steer and tighten up the
But if
turning
you're doing
radius.
60, you couldn't hit
no,
it.
that wouldn't work.
Yeah, I was
Oh
going to
no,
say.
they would.
Really?
When you were at highway speeds, when you would make a right turn, the rears would go right and the front would go right as well. Now the rears wouldn't go drastically right, but they would go right. That was built into the
That's
system.
scary.
But it was supposed to be more stable.
I was actually watching a version of Wheeler Dealers, and they actually had a car, I don't remember what it was, that actually turned the back wheels just about that much at under a certain speed, and it wasn't working. And Ant got the thing working. And
Well, Honda Prelude did a four-wheel steering option on their cars back in probably in the 90s, I'm going to say.
so here's another hit, the Polestar 2. Just something I just have a little issue with the name.
Polestar is the hot rod Volvo.
Okay.
That is Volvo's version of AMG.
Polestar. Could you not come up with something like Hot Rod or whatever?
I was thinking
The
Dancer.
compact electric sedan from Volvo's cousin takes a leap into connectivity with the first use in a production model of Google's Android automotive operating system. Woohoo! Another hit, General Motors Ultium batteries, maybe a breakthrough that brings the cost of electric vehicles in line with those powered by gasoline. GM says the Ultium batteries, which will launch in the GMC Hummer EV, will cost about $100 per kilowatt hour, deliver as much as 400 miles between charges, are capable of fast charging, and are designed to be installed in packs either horizontally or vertically, and they're good enough for Honda Motor Company, because Honda's going to use them apparently. Ford F-150 Power Boost. The first hybrid electric powertrain in a Ford truck, a winner. The electric motor propels the truck at low speeds. The start-stop system, which I hate, which is virtually imperceptible according to this story.
That's what they always say.
And the big battery can power tools and household appliances. Okay, so
I'll give that as a star, because I think that's a good idea, and I think the 110 power plug in the vehicles, and GM's done it for a while, and Ford's now doing it, and I thought Ram did it as well.
Ram does it, yes.
I think that's genius.
They've pretty well all done it now.
On the work truck thing. So I'll give that a rising star kind of award. But some of the other stuff,
you don't say that when you're talking about the Polestar, though. Another miss is the Toyota Supra. The car's styling has been called out for being unnecessarily busy, and the timing of its launch could not have been worse. It arrived about the same time as the mid-engine Chevy Corvette. Sales, though, have been slow for the Supra. Toyota launched a lower-priced four-cylinder model. Why? To help move the Supra away from direct competition with the Corvette. I don't think that there was ever any competition with the Corvette.
Well, you got to remember that Supra is basically a BMW under the sheet metal.
And that's really what their core problem is because it's not really a Supra, and the Supra loyalists that want that vehicle.
Right.
Why didn't they? I don't understand. Why do these car companies think that they need to change it so drastically? Why not do it like they used to do it and just gussy up something that they've already got coming off the assembly line, give it some more horsepower.
Which was what the Supra was originally it was a bigger version and a badder version of the Celica.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Then, and now it's...
Put some spoilers on it, more powerful engine, some upgraded suspension tweaks, and a little tweak in the interior.
The 2JZ engine's a beast. In the original Supra,
Miss Ford Escape. The Escape is one of the industry's best-selling nameplates, or has been for years. Escape sales now have collapsed in 2020, dropping from 226,000 through 11 months in 2019 to 161,000 sold this year. Another miss, the Nikola Badger. Is the Badger the opposite of an opossum?
Oh. No, it sounds like something from Wisconsin.
And I think that you're going to have something about a Badger later on. Its arrival seemed exciting, but upon further inspection, it was dead on arrival.
Oh, gosh.
Miss BMW's new mug. Call it Bangle Butt 2. New face of many BMWs to come. See the iX EV and the 4 Series. Gives the brand's famed dual kidneys a buck-tooth makeover, drawing widespread disdain from many otherwise passionate BMW admirers.
Have you looked at it? It looks like the front of two Edsels. The big kidney grill they've done now.
Been overdone.
Oh, gosh. It looks like the front of two Edsels, like two big toilet seats.
It's as upsetting as a beaver with a loose tooth.
Thanks, Jeff.
Well, I'm not saying anything of that.
Nope.
Not going there. So anyway,
what other misses were there?
That's about it. It's not much, but
the Escape. You had the Escape was the first one. That's a neat little looking vehicle.
Was.
Well, I'm just saying.
There's so much competition in that every car maker has something to compete against it.
Well, and that goes back to what you were talking about with the Trailblazer, is they all have a certain look to them. A CUV or an SUV all has a certain shape to it because they're all trying to do the same thing. And at some point, to push them through the air, they all have a very similar
Right. The wind tunnels all show them all the same thing, and they're just trying to figure out a way to make it be the same without looking the same.
And BMW's done a good job of it with that twin kidney
bucktooth thing. The other thing is that these vehicles, really, when you come down to it, if you compare apples to apples amongst them, some clearly are newer than other ones. Some have been on the market for 5 years. So if you keep that in mind, because every year, they add more content or do something different.
Make it different.
But if you look at when the model was drawn on a board and when it came off the production line, you'll look and you see there's more content in this one for the same amount of money as opposed to this one.
Yeah.
And they perform better. They have better features. I mean, if you drill it down and actually do your homework,
Yes.
you're going to actually be better off, I think.
Well, and that's why those that are what are long in the tooth that were designed and released 5 or 6 years ago, that's why they continue to add content, trying to bring the first generation buyer back to the same vehicle, and that really doesn't work the way it used to.
And especially with today's generation that's actually going out and buying new cars,
Right.
because those kids are now in their 30s. They've matured, and they might not be in the same category as mom and dad buying the Honda Accord.
Right. And I think with that, you talk about brand loyalty. I don't know that the brand loyalties are as strong as they used to be
No,
either.
they're not.
No, they're not, because there's just so much out there, and they look so much alike, and they perform so much alike. But I was just thinking when you were talking about the different generations, I was trying to explain to a 16-year-old what a dial-up modem was. There was kinda
dial-up.
like, yeah, exactly. We had to go out on the internet and find a recording of it and stuff. Her mother did, and said, this is what her mother grew up with. So we were explaining. We didn't have cell phones, we didn't have, anyway, there's a significant difference between us and them.
I watched a video, and I'm sure that there are several of them this past week, of people that I would say would be more along the lines of our age or a little bit younger, that actually used a dial telephone. So we know how it works. Put that in front of an 18-year-old today. They have absolutely no clue. None. They were trying to dial a phone number that had a prefix of an exchange, like PR37409.
Yeah.
Had no clue how any of that worked. And you stop and think about it, how would they?
Right.
They didn't have anybody to teach them. They've never been exposed to it.
Right.
One of them kind of figured it out because the parents said, yes, you're moving in the right direction with that thought process. And so among the 3 boys that were there trying to figure this out, they were, 17, 18 years old, they finally got it, but it took them like 5 minutes to figure it out.
To spin the wheel?
To spin.
The dial-up, yeah.
Well, when you talked about the phone number, I remember when, and I'm going to go back to I Love Lucy, everything was Murray Hill 5, and then whatever the number was behind it. But I remember when your phone number had a name to the first 3 digits.
Right.
And then the last 4 digits. So you talked about 4-digit dialing. You guys do 4-digit dialing over there in Neaterville?
No, but we had the name whenever we had it all there. My crew, when I worked for the phone company, we actually took out the last 4-party line in Texas up in Buena.
Exactly. You had a party line where you pick it up and somebody else is on the line.
Yeah,
and you
there's
have to wait.
four different families used it, depending on who got what ring.
Or if you're Andy Griffith and Mayberry,
Sarah.
give me,
Give me Randolph.
Give me the sheriff, Sarah.
80. Ours was Randolph. It was RA2, whatever.
yeah, party lines.
And now you give it to a youngster, they would have no idea how to get there.
No, well, and they don't even. There's something they don't even teach, like slide rules and stuff. They don't know what that is. They don't even teach that.
Why
kind
would
of
you
stuff
want?
anymore.
Why would you care? Why would you
it's just-
want that?
Well, it's just going through some of the things I've watched my grandkids. Some of the things that they are taught, we were taught, but they don't use them in this world, so they don't even teach that kind of stuff.
You have to go down to the film
But that's the
station.
advancement of technology as well.
It is.
You look at today's cars.
And when the cars
you
are
don't
the
have
same
to,
way.
But you don't have to teach somebody how to pump the brakes to come to a stop on
Well,
an icy road.
and that's one of the things we were talking about is the 16-year-old was taking her driving test. She hates to parallel park. But it's not too bad because she's got a backup camera in her mom's car to take the test in.
I don't trust those things.
or
Trust backup
or
cameras.
they have.
Yeah, but if you don't have one, but you've always had one, but now you're driving
Right.
a car that don't have one,
Then you
you're
feel out of
lost.
place.
Then
right.
you need rear steer.
Well, or they have the automated parallel parking.
That thing is
true.
absolutely marvelous, and if it was available on a car, I'd buy it today. If I use parallel parking, I don't go anywhere where I use parallel.
That's what we finally got her convinced. That she had to do it for her driving test.
Yep.
But she may never do that again.
Correct. We need to move on here and do our first car review of the morning, and that would be you, Mr. Mars. And I believe that you have the Subaru Crosstrek. Now, is this the new Crosstrek?
This is the new Crosstrek.
That actually looks pretty
2021.
good. Yeah.
It's actually, Yeah, it's not the
Significantly
biggest
changed.
one.
No, but it's
out of the
significantly
lineup.
changed
Yes.
from the old one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a lot of different things in it. It's still a compact SUV, and that's what they call it. But if you really look at it and you look at the way it's designed, I kind of like the term hatchback. To me, it's more of a hatchback than it is an SUV. But hatchback's that terminology is kind of old school now. They don't really use that much in marketing anymore. But we're talking about the 2021 Subaru Crosstrek Sport all-wheel drive compact SUV. And it's been redesigned for 2021. It's got a big new grille up front, some new front bumpers.
I know that this is not one that you were driving because it has bicycles attached to the top of it.
Yeah, that's true. This is not one of my pictures.
They might
Absolutely.
be. They're missing the wheels, though. That might be his.
That could be. So, but you'll see there that it's got this is the Sport, and in the picture, and that's what we were driving. But it's got the around the wheel wells. It's got some trim on there, and it's all gunmetal gray. The front bumper, the grille, the wheel well trim. That's all part of that Sport package.
They forgot to paint it.
And the side mirrors are all side.
I think it's the off-road.
And it all matches up into the wheels. It's also like gunmetal gray, and it on here it's but you get it on the red one, and it really looks pretty sharp. It's got auto headlights up front. It's got fog lights. Of course, you can see that it's got the roof rails that are on it. See right here, it looks pretty good with the gray and stuff. It's almost a black, but not quite. Got power heated folding side mirrors. Got a power moonroof in it. I mean, it's all built around the idea of going outdoors. It's one of the reasons up north where you get a lot of snow and stuff, these vehicles are really pretty popular. 17-inch alloy wheels. And again, it's all matched up with that gray, gunmetal gray trim wherever they could, the badging and things on it too, because it's a sport model. Now you go to the inside of it, and it's got it's got a StarTex trimmed upholstery. Now this is a moisture resistant. You spill stuff on it, it's supposed to wipe off of it and stuff. The front seats are heated. The rear seat is a 60/40 fold flat seat. Now it will fold down all the way flat. So that makes some of them don't quite do that. It's got we had the optional 8-inch monitor up in the dash with the Starlink, Subaru Starlink's what they call their infotainment system. We had the black and gray, and it's got the Crosstrek stitching in the bright yellow there up on the back of the seats and stuff. So it gives it a nice trim look on it. And it's really got quite a bit of room in it whenever you get into the cargo aspect of it, from looking into the back of it, because the Sport model is all running towards that outdoor lifestyle. There's a lot of room back there. 55.3 cubic feet is a lot of room to put some stuff in there. And one of the things that I really liked about it, again, full flat floor, cargo, could put room stuff in it. But you can see here, it's got a tall roof line, even there at the back where it kind of comes down towards the D-pillar and stuff. It's still pretty high, so there's a lot of headroom when you're sitting inside this vehicle. And that gives you, with the thin pillars that it's got in the design of it, you've got a really nice span of view from a driver's perspective. Now, to get up under the hood, you got new for 2021 as the standard engine in the Sport and Limited is the 2.5 liter. It's a boxer type engine, so it's kind of a flat engine.
Yep, opposed cylinders.
Yes.
Very compact design, really, and it lowers the center of gravity of the vehicle as well.
It does, and that's part of the driving dynamics of it with the all-wheel drive. It does have the auto stop and start on. It was noticeable at times, but it really wasn't too bad. This vehicle has 182 horsepower, which is 30 more than what the 2020 model had. It also has 176 pound-feet of torque, which is the 31. It's 30 more and 31 more over the 2.0 liter, which was the standard engine. It's optional now to get a smaller engine, less horsepower. Don't do it. Take the 2.5. It's backed by a CVT it's got the dual function X mode shifting type to it, and it's capable of towing 1,500 pounds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're talking about jet skis or a small pop-up camper, things like that on two-wheel axles, it'll absolutely do that for you. Now, the ride and handling, when you get out on the highway, this vehicle's got 8.7 inches of ground clearance.
Was this a long review?
I can make it that way.
Apparently.
No, you are.
Well, I'm enjoying it. Okay, I'll hurry up. So it's got 8.7 inches of ground clearance, so that's how it gets into the off-road, the sand and mud and stuff. If you're looking for something to compare it to, you're looking at the Honda HR-V possibly. It starts at $21,020. Maybe a Mazda CX-3 Sport all-wheel drive. For comparison, $22,040, or a Jeep Renegade, $22,850. You can get a base Subaru Crosstrek for $22,245, the base vehicle. Now you step up to the Crosstrek Sport. You're starting at $26,495 with these features and stuff that are added on here. And the MSRP as tested for this vehicle is $29,145. And it's for at least 4 people. It's a very comfortable vehicle with all-wheel drive, and I think it's got a very good, solid feel going down the highway. It's cute. It's a good driver.
Yeah. Well, I've always been a Subaru fan. Hey, the In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com, along with Twitch. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcasts, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, Pandora, Amazon, and Podcast Addict. In Wheel Time Show continues right after this quick break. Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's premier cruise-in, and you're invited to join in. Whether you're a cruiser or spectator, Tailpipes and Tacos is the place to enjoy made-to-order breakfast tacos, fresh coffee, and mingle with Houston's fun car people. Mark your calendar for Saturday, January 16th for Tailpipes and Tacos at the Lupi Tortilla Mexican Restaurant in Katy, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Tailpipes and Tacos is free, and everyone is invited. You'll see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods all at one location. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a friends and family event. The Lupi Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupi founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise in, Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, January 16th, 8 to 11 a.m. at Lupi's in Katy. The In Wheel Time Car Show will be there too. Get your ride ready, and we'll see you at the Tailpipes and Tacos Saturday morning cruise in, January 16th, 8 to 11 a.m. at Lupi's in Katy, weather permitting. Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild to wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com. Hey, welcome. This is the award-winning car talk show In Wheel Time, your weekly go-to all things automotive place. Along with Mike out of this world Mars, King Conrad DeLong, Jeff Zekin just off camera there. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad that you could join us on this Saturday. It's a bit nippy this Saturday here in the Houston area. So we've got the heater going here in the In Wheel Time Studio A. So glad that you could join us today. We got lots to do, lots of things coming up, and one of the things that we failed to get in our last segment, and that was the racing calendar. Now, no racing this weekend, but there is stuff coming up.
Yeah, there's stuff coming up before the end of January. There's a lot of testing going on right now, but the next real big test is going to be on the 24th, and that's called the Roar Before the 24. And that is where the IMSA guys go out and they do a lot of testing at Daytona before the 24 hours of Daytona, which will be on the 31st of January. So racing's kind of just around the corner, but all of those who are in the racing world are doing a lot of testing right now. You saw that Erica was given the NHRA Driver of the Decade award.
Saw that
this week.
I missed that.
Yep.
Oh, congratulations to her.
So I thought that was pretty cool. You look at, all that she's accomplished and the team has accomplished, and the support that they provide for so many other teams was very well deserved.
And none of that comes easy because it doesn't. I mean, she was racing Chrysler products for a while.
Correct.
And the engines just, even though they were Hemis, they just couldn't rev high enough to get the power down the track quick enough.
They did it for 1 year. She was running the Camaro, and then they switched to the Dodge product, and then came back to the Camaro.
Oh, yeah. So none of that is easy. And to be a champion in your division is something. But she worked really hard to get the Driver of the Decade award in NHRA.
Multiple champion.
And three-time champion in the decade. So we say Erica. Those who don't know, Erica Enders. Greg Enders is a fan of the show. I think Erica, we want you to be a fan of the show. We actually want you to come on the show at some point, but we'll work on that in the future.
Yeah, we work on that every time, but it never seems to pan out. But you have to understand, she is always very busy, and when it comes to her racing career, she stays busy, and it's not that she is dissing us, because I know would never do that.
Well, it's a full-time job to run the operation. She's got to worry about driving. She's got to worry about promoting. She's got to sell the car, sell her. I mean, she's got a lot of stuff to do.
She actually took time out to take a picture with my granddaughter at the last event.
Yep.
So thank you for that.
Yep. Yeah, she's a great gal. I wanted to remind everybody, and I will continue throughout the show, the first Sunday of every month, which this month is tomorrow, is Chrome and Coffee. And it is a great cruise in, and tomorrow's weather should be spectacular for it. It runs 9 to noon tomorrow at the Sharpstown Golf Center. It's on Bel Air Boulevard off of Harbortown Drive, and at the Prince's Drive-In there. It's actually not a drive-in. It's the Prince's Hamburger Joint there at the golf course. So you park your car, walk around, talk to everybody that has a car there, or if you just want to spectate, you park your car across the street, walk over, and come on, bring the kids, and it's a family affair.
That's what I do. Yep.
Yeah. And you're going to be there.
I'm planning on being there, yeah.
And what are you bringing?
I'm going to bring the 2021. Is it a 20 or 21, Mike? He doesn't know. It's a
21. It's a 21.
Is it a 21?
Yeah.
It's a Dodge Charger Hellcat Red Eye.
Ooh,
wide body.
Wow.
Wide body. 797 horsepower. It's
797 horsepower. Well, I understand that when Mars had it, that they only gave him the black key.
Yeah.
So they only gave him the 500 horsepower key. They must listen to the reviews, because they gave you the red key.
Well, that's because of his shenanigans with these high horsepower.
Shenanigans. Now I'm really disappointed, because I was showing the car. My grandson wanted to see the car. He's 16 now.
And you were trying to do a burnout to impress.
I was showing him the car and I was going to show him how the performance pages worked. And I brought them up and stuff, and it's showing the 500 horsepower. But I couldn't get. I said, I told him, I said, well, they just don't send it out anymore, because the 797.
Not to you.
Well, I didn't tell him that. I said they don't send it out to anybody.
What's his phone number? Let me call him right now and just tell him, Grandpa didn't make the cut.
Is it shenanigans, or is he full of malarkey?
Malarkey.
Mm-hmm. Either way.
With his shillelagh.
Yes.
That's why his eyes are brown. He's only full up to there.
That's it. So do we have a guest yet?
No, sir. We got a little problem here.
Okay, well, we'll just move on then. So I have some other things that I thought that we would. I kind of felt that this may happen. So,
well, go ahead.
So Hemmings, of which I am a member of Hemmings Motor News, questioned this: which one of these 4 detective cars would you choose for your dream garage?
All
detective car, TV detective cars.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm thinking Magnum PI.
Well, let me just read. Are you itchy this morning?
I am. I don't know what it is. Oh no, the one
it's probably
Miami Vice. I want the white.
It's probably coming off of the heater
That's
and
right.
dropping.
I want the white Testarossa.
Columbo.
Miami Vice.
So let me just
Columbo.
let me just read this in. Hey, hold on.
All right.
Crime dramas have been part of small screen history since, the smaller screen became a fixture in post-war living rooms across America. Whether it was based on adventures in the pre-automotive Wild West, namely the Wild Wild West, or set in a fictional contemporary town, ABC, CBS, and NBC were broadcasting what was sure to be their top cop his series. Some were humorous. Most were serious. Car 54, Where Are You?
I was thinking that.
Hawaii 5-0, Adam 12, Dragnet, some of the early successes everyone fondly remembers. The 70s and early 80s delivered a whole new series of multi-season hits, which is the setting for the latest edition of This or That, which this particular story falls under, highlighting cars from both sides of the Atlantic that had a starring role.
Where the cars were actually more a character in the show as well.
Part of a character, yeah. Let's take a closer look at them and a few honorable mentions, all of which are currently available in the Hemmings Classified. First up, Columbo, which originally aired on NBC from 71 to 78, albeit less regularly from 89 to 2003. 2 pilot episodes aired 68 and 71. Peter Falk was the title role guy, LAPD homicide detective Columbo. Didn't follow the typical whodunit format, but rather a how catch them storyline through the series. As to the character Lieutenant Columbo, well, crumpled raincoat, less than commanding posture, smoldering cigar. Another often seen Columbo prop was the car, a dilapidated Peugeot 403 Cabriolet that was one failed oil change away from the scrapyard. Peugeot's 403 entered production in 1955 and continued through 66, unfortunately. The featured 403 sedan was made in 1960. Apparently, Columbo didn't have a keen view on what was cool to drive. Okay, so
he made the list. Must have been cool.
I guess.
But would not be one of my choices, for sure.
The Rockford Files.
There you go.
The 1978 Firebird Esprit.
That's right.
It was the Esprit, although updated each model year through 78. No 79 or 80 edition was used. The gold-painted, four-wheeled TV Star was actually a more powerful and easily disguised formula, which enabled Garner to perform the show's most iconic vehicular stunt, the J-turn, on the streets of America. It was simply known as the Rockford, and you could buy them. Tuner car that was featured in this article, just over 14,000 original miles on it. It was nice looking,
And I'd take that one. I don't know much about the powertrain of that. I would assume it wasn't a huge power player.
No, it was not.
But Rockford also had on the show was an Oldsmobile Toronado.
I know that you would love that.
Yes, I would.
Magnum PI. Yep. Debuted in the late 70s.
308 GTS.
It was a 1979 model 308 GTS Targa. Yeah. 79 edition was replaced with an 81 version for the 2nd through 6th seasons, an 84 308 GTSI Quattro Valvole.
So
it sounds kind of nasty.
The difference was the first one was carbureted. When they add the I, that stood for injection, and Quattro Valvole was 4 valves per cylinder.
If you remember, I reviewed a Ferrari.
I do remember that. Yeah. That was good.
So I'd put his in my garage.
Here's one. I really didn't like the paint scheme on it, but I did like the car, even though it was a Ford. You want to guess what it was?
Not without knowing which detective it was.
Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah.
Torino.
Grand Torino.
75 to 79. Well, Detective Sergeant Dave Starsky, portrayed by Paul Michael Glazer, and Detective Sergeant Ken Hutchinson, portrayed by David Soul. Although visually iconic, it's ironic that the producer placed their plainclothes officers in what since has become known as the striped tomato. Bright red, 1975 Ford Grand Torino Coupe, similar to the one featured in the 76 Ford Grand Torino Coupe.
Yep. Very iconic car.
Yeah.
Wouldn't want it in my garage.
No.
Here's one you might. Honorable mentions. Miami Vice.
Yeah, sign me up.
84 to 89, first featured a 72 Ferrari Daytona Spider 365 GTS4 until its demise.
Which was not a real Ferrari Daytona. It was a custom built clone, right?
After which was an 86 Ferrari Testarossa.
Which was a real Testarossa.
Least we forget the digital age really kicked in during the early 80s too, and no other show took on a futuristic approach to detective work like the original Knight Rider, 82 to 86, and its heavily modified third-gen 82 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am.
Well, we need to back up because there was a CUDA in Miami Vice also.
No.
Was there?
There
I don't
was a
remember.
CUDA.
I
He drove
don't
a
think
yellow
so.
CUDA.
No, that was whenever he was in San Francisco. That was a different show.
I don't know.
Miami Vice was in Miami.
No.
And
Yeah.
yeah. And then the
You
other
know,
one was in California.
I retract
That's
that.
right.
I retract that. Yes, you are correct. But he had a CUDA. There was a
Yes,
CUDA
he did.
involved.
The
The
yellow
other one
CUDA.
is I would take
Never
is
mind.
the '69 Camaro convertible in that show Las Vegas.
I never watched that show.
Oh, they had a beautiful '69 Camaro convertible, yellow, white stripes.
Not into convertibles.
Okay, moving on.
Well, that's it.
Oh,
So check
Well,
out.
apparently we are moving on.
You can check out Peugeots, Pontiac Firebirds, Ferrari 308s, and Ford Torinos for sale at Hemmings.com.
earlier, what about Route 66 with the Corvette? Mm-hmm. But that was more of a.
How about
pseudo-
77 Sunset Strip?
There you go.
What was that, a 58?
58, yeah.
Yeah. I actually owned a 58 for a very short period of time, thank goodness. Boy, their first gen Corvettes, oof, just
But were those
horrible.
detective shows?
Well, Sunset Strip was.
Route 66, I think they were just
We have our
supporters.
guest.
Okay. All right. So, what are we? We're kind of late to get to
Yeah,
this.
we're late.
It's okay. We're good.
You say we're good. Here, would you like to do this?
It's
That's why you're the host.
Yeah, no, that's why I try to keep us on time.
He's the host with the most.
So we got about 5 minutes to talk to Dana Pritchard, and he is with the
she is.
she is with the Woodlands Car Club. And Dana, hi, good morning. It's good to see you.
Can everybody hear me and see me?
We can.
Okay.
Looking fabulous up there in the Woodlands.
Yes, it's a beautiful, beautiful morning. It's going to be the same for tomorrow morning. As you know, I've been with the Woodlands Car Club since 2001. One of our main charity car events that we do is the Woodlands Cars and Coffee for a Cause at Market Street here in the Woodlands. So we're having that event tomorrow morning from 6:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m.
6:30 a.m.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
It'd be a little chilly.
It'll
but
be a little chilly.
It's always worth it because you guys always have a good cause, and your cause moves around each month
Yeah,
as
but
well.
you know why people get up so early in the morning? Because the parking is limited at Market Street. So people were getting there at 4:30 and 5 in the morning, and finally Market Street said, we're not letting anybody in before 6:30. So they can come at 6 to line up, but we start letting them in at 6:30 because the parking space is limited there.
What kind of cars show up?
So we get anything from import, domestic, classics, hot rods, European cars. We get some exotics, work in progress vehicles. We don't really discriminate against what type of car that we let in, and that's just because it's a charity event. So we raise a lot of money by every person who enters their car into the charity car display will donate any amount that they would like to, and that all goes to the charity selected by Market Street. Market Street selects 4 new nonprofit organizations in Montgomery County a year. So, so that's first quarter would be this, January, February, March. So we raise a lot of money for, each quarter for each charity.
Are you entering a car?
I'm sorry?
Are you entering a car?
I enter myself.
You enter. They got it. Yeah. So you got your hands full trying to coordinate this.
Yes, and I do get a lot of help, not only from my boyfriend Philip, but from Randy and Robert from the Montgomery County Auto Enthusiasts. I work very closely with them. They're a big help. And also sometimes the Northside Mustang Car Club, they've helped us in the past also.
We know Randy very well,
Yep.
good friend of the show. Yeah, absolutely. So are you expecting Mustangs there tomorrow?
Well, we'll probably get a few Mustangs.
Oh, you'll probably get a whole ton of them.
But you said that parking is limited. How many spaces are there available to show your car?
All I know is that between the 4-hour time frame, we see well over 150 different vehicles because people come and go throughout the morning. So the people who get there about 6:30, they're wrapping up probably around 9ish, and then we'll get a new batch of vehicles that come in. So the people who didn't get up that early sleep in a little bit and come later in the morning. That's when some spaces begin to open. So.
And how late does the show go?
We usually wrap up around 10:30 just because, we're getting there at 5:45 to set up. And, usually by 10ish, people are the people will get there pretty early. So by 10ish, they're ready to go eat breakfast. Which reminds me that there is a cafe there, Paris Creperie Cafe, which is in Market Street. They are everyone who goes to eat breakfast there on the first Sunday of the month. They will donate 25% of the proceeds to the selected charity, which first quarter is the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So
nice.
We're happy that they decided to partner with us.
Yeah. Do you have things like Ferraris and Lamborghinis show up there too?
Oh yeah.
We get a few of those that show up. Yes, we get a few of the exotics that show up. Not too many, but every now and then you'll see some sprinkled in, or we'll get a classic, Ferrari that'll come in. So,
well, there's lots of them that live up in the Woodlands area. So I'm sure if they're up early and they want to go take the toy out for a ride, they'll pop in.
Yeah, you never know what people are going to have in their garages. That's for sure. But I will tell you that people come from all over the Houston area, whether it's Sugarland, Katy, Pearland, League City. I mean, some of these participants are, coming to Market Street for the very first time. They've heard of the Woodlands, but they've never been out here. So all month long, they're getting excited about the first Sunday of the month. And it's really nice to see not only the diversity in the vehicles, but just the ages of people, the generations that come out. And everyone's pretty friendly. Everyone gets to know each other. That they talk to each other. It's not classed by what kind of car you have. It's mixed up pretty good, and people really enjoy that. It's just
and everybody's expected to behave while you're there. There's car show etiquette, and we expect everybody to follow that. Don't show up revving your engines and doing smoke shows with your tires. They'll be there to throw you in jail quickly.
Well, luckily for this event, we haven't had to worry too much about that. But I'll tell you that there is a hotel adjacent from the Starbucks where we set up, and you get a vehicle rumbling pretty loud just by starting the vehicle, wakes up the honeymooners. So we have to be careful about that. But there's nothing we can do. That's just
wakes up the honeymooners.
So Jackie Gleason's there?
Yeah, exactly.
We got a few complaints over the years about that, and I tell them we're not revving the engines; we're just starting the cars up.
So Dana, real quick about your shop. Just a quick shout out about your place.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, Woodlands Performance and Suspension right on Sawdust Road. We've been around for 18 years. We specialize in suspension and alignments. We do mechanical restoration on the classic vehicles. We also specialize in high-end 4x4 suspension for the four-wheel drive trucks. Do a little bit of general repair also on vehicles, and just some sports cars, suspension, aftermarket exhaust, that type of thing. So.
Well, Dana, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Good luck tomorrow morning for the
wear a coat.
Yeah,
Cars and coffee for a cause.
That's it. And the charity fundraiser up there, and you can't miss it. It's Market Square in the Woodlands Shopping Center. All right.
Yeah,
well,
thank
Dana,
you guys so much for your interest. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you. All right. Time now. But by the way, I wanted to remind everybody that we'd love to hear from you. And all you got to do is shoot us an email. The address is info@inwheeltime.com. We're going to start a new series with Ryan Ainsley called Ryan's Excellent Car Adventures. And we were trying to get this on the air last weekend, had some sort of an issue. I don't know what that was, but we don't want to know. It just didn't happen. So we're going to play it this weekend. And unfortunately, it doesn't have any voiceover on it. So Conrad's going to play Guess What This Is.
Oh, gosh.
So why don't we go ahead and roll it? Because Ryan...
Bring this on me here.
So we're going to have to... Let's stop right there.
You can tell this is a more of a youth-oriented car meet because of the types of cars that are there and the modifications that are done. There's a C8 Corvette. I guess that's a Honda Civic.
I'm trying to stop it.
Honda Civic. I'll take the white C8 Corvette. Mazda Miata. Lowered the cambered tires, the super wide tires. I know Ryan had, we'd seen when we had David on, where he's got the edge roller for the fenders. Mm-hmm. Well, on these types of cars, you'll need that edge roller for the fenders because they've got the top of the tire right out to the edge of the fender. And a lot of times that's why they camber the tires, the wheels so much, is trying to get the upper part of the wheel inside the fender. But, the stripe kits that they put on them are quite unique, as well as the suspension. And generally, they're going with really large wheels. So you're talking 18s, 20s, 24s in some instances. Nissan 200SX, quite a popular car in this. The silver one there, I think that was a Honda 2000, which I think is a very cool little car as well. But the Nissan 200SX, some of them can be highly modified on the engine side of things. I don't know, what they've done with any of these here.
From what I've seen or heard in some of these videos that he shot, these are a lot of them have very large turbochargers on them,
which would be consistent with that age bracket of what kind of cars that they modify. Again, this being the Nissan 200SX Skyline platform-looking thing. The 200SX are generally all the 4 cylinders. The Skylines, the Nissan Skylines, would be the 6 cylinders. So some Lexus and IS300 sitting there. The blue one. Go ahead and let it run, Jeff. There's the FR86 Toyota. You never liked those because you never liked the ride of them.
Terrible.
Some cool BMWs, and again, when you look at these, go ahead and just let it run, Jeff. You can look at the wheels and tires on them and tell that they're extremely large wheels and tires that are on these cars.
And they're dropped way down.
And they're lowered, and part of lowering it is why they end up having to do the camber on the tires so that they can get the fender to fall over the tire as opposed to into the tire. That looks like a ES300 Lexus. There's an Audi. I'm assuming that's might be an A8. I can't see the tag on it, but look at the size of the wheel.
And look at the special digital tail lights.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, the LED tail lights. So in the youth movement, they are very much, I'll say, fast and furious type of modifications, type of vehicles as well.
Very visual.
Lots of. There's a G35. I think that's just somebody's normal Honda parked out front because that didn't look very modified. 300Z. Look, C6 Corvette. BMWs, a good variety of stuff. Those don't look to be really part of the crowd because they're not overly modified. One of my favorite cars is the NSX.
It's hard for me to fit in that. It has
no
headroom.
It's impossible for me to fit in them, but very, very cool car, the Honda NSX, with just their little 3-liter, and then I think they went to a 3.2-liter V6 that would perform at a level of a Corvette in the same generation. Here's a BMW 5 Series, actually with factory BMW wheels, but you can tell the car has been lowered quite a bit. And then the little rear wing and stuff on it. And I guess that was an
Look
M5.
at that thing.
That, I believe, is the new Supra.
That has been highly
modified. Look like it's got a fat tire modification on the back of it, and then another NSX. And NSX is a pretty rare breed car. You don't see lots of them.
No, you don't.
And here you go again with a purple. I'm assuming that's I missed. More of the Nissan SX200s. Very popular car in the younger generation, that wild gold BMW there. And another 300Z. Is that a 300Z or is that a 200SX?
Good luck.
I think that's a Z.
I think that's a Z car. So, they get a wide variety of cars, but the modifications are all somewhat similar. Big exhaust systems, real tall wheels, and wide tires, and the modified suspensions to compensate for it. So next time we hope to have Ryan talking over the top of it, because he can probably give us a little bit more insight into some of these cars than I can looking at it the first time and trying to give you my thoughts on what they are.
You did an excellent job.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Job.
So we're going to try again next week, and we're going to perfect this sooner or later. Remember, Ryan is a senior in high school and is very much into those kinds of cars. Actually has one himself.
He has a G35. Beautiful looking car.
Wonderful. It's pretty cool.
All right, time now for a quick break here on the In Wheel Time Show. We've got more right after this. Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild-to-wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's premier cruise-in, and you're invited to join in. Whether you're a cruiser or spectator, Tailpipes and Tacos is the place to enjoy made-to-order breakfast tacos, fresh coffee, and mingle with Houston's fun car people. Mark your calendar for Saturday, January 16th for Tailpipes and Tacos at the Lupe Tortilla Mexican Restaurant in Katy, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Tailpipes and Tacos is free, and everyone is invited. You'll see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods all at one location. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a friends and family event. The Lupe Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupe founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise in, Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, January 16th, 8 to 11 a.m. at Lupe's in Katy. The In Real Time Car Show will be there too. Get your ride ready, and we'll see you at the Tailpipes and Tacos Saturday morning cruise in, January 16th, 8 to 11 a.m. at Lupe's in Katy, weather permitting. From Studio A in Texas, USA, it's the award-winning all things automotive car talk show In Wheel Time. Just ahead, a review of our new car of the week, the 2021 Cadillac XT6. This week in auto history and the stories making auto news headlines. That and more just ahead on today's In Wheel Time car show for Saturday, January 2nd, 2021. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong, Jeff Zekin just off camera over there. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad that you could join us this morning. And we're going to go to our good friend Alec Udell actually, I don't know where he is personally on this Saturday morning. Where are you, Alec?
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I am up at our go-kart track in Conroe, so north of the city. We've got a little car show going on this morning. It's a bit chilly. So I think we've got some stragglers, but we've got a few cars out here that are our Ford and Chevy show. So we've started doing the first of every month with different car clubs and car groups, a cars and karting event. So we'll have a car show and then a karting competition out on our go-kart track to get the fastest drivers from each group.
Yeah, and everybody's just now showing up. Is it windy up there, or is that your finger over the microphone?
It's a little windy.
Really? And 39 degrees windy, it makes it feel like it's freezing.
So how do people get involved and get their car club signed up for your events as they come up in the future?
Yeah, they can definitely reach out to me. My email address is alecudell@me.com. We have a couple of the guys that have been coming out to our kart track, just running in either just enjoying the track or doing our league racing, have talked about wanting to do shows. And so we kind of started this middle of last year as things were kind of shut down and people were looking for places to do some events. So it kind of ebbs and flows with what's going on in the world, and it's been nice. But you can reach out to me, and I can help you get that set up.
So where exactly is the kart track?
Yeah, we are on South Loop 336, just about 2 miles off of I-45 in Conroe. So it's 3528 South Loop 336.
So is that when you get to 336 South, is that east or west?
It is on the east side. So if you're going north, take a right, and we're about 2 miles off the freeway.
Okay.
I-45.
So you're out there by the Budweiser distributorship.
I guess so. I'm not familiar
Sorry,
with it. But
the things in my head that I know. I know there's a Budweiser distributorship out there.
Well, I'll have to go find it sometime. They've got some good beer.
So
we generally don't mix those in karting, though.
No, I would not think so.
So who are these guys that are showing up for the Ford versus Chevy car show? Is it strictly limited to Fords and Chevys?
This morning we have it's not strictly limited to Fords and Chevys, but one of the gentlemen actually standing back here, and I can flip the car around. One of the gentlemen standing in the group back here is our contact with the Ford group, and he knows a bunch of people that have some Chevys as well, and so they've got in with their car group. I'm not sure which ones, to be honest. I am just out here kind of participating. I'm a Ford guy myself, so I've got the Raptor and the Focus there.
Nice. So
Yeah.
what year Raptor is yours?
Mine's a 13.
So it's a V8, not the twin turbo EcoBoost.
Yes. Yeah, that's correct. So mine's a 13 with the Roush supercharger package on it.
Of course.
Yeah.
You just can't have a regular one. You got to put a blower on it.
Yeah, exactly. So, I like fast cars and trucks. I'm a Texan at heart.
Have you put that thing on a dyno to find out kind of what a horsepower it's turning out?
Yeah, I actually did had a tune done on it over the summer and got some stuff done on it. It's at about 95,000 miles now, but it does 600 to the wheels.
To the wheels.
Yeah,
He's done some stuff to it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a technical term.
I think Alec may be a little connected to get the right stuff done.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So when the clubs come up for these types of events, as you do them in the future as well, today being Chevy versus Ford, they sit and kind of chat about cars early, and then you go ahead and everybody goes. Do they nominate a group of them to go on track, or pretty much all of them that want to can go on track?
Yeah, pretty much anyone that wants to can go on track. We'll generally run a little special depending on the group, either $15 races or three for the price of two. Just depends on what we're doing that month. And kind of at the end of it, our manager at the track here will get all the times together, figure out who was the quickest out of the group, and then coordinate with the different car clubs to let them know and get their prizes sent to them or their gift certificates, whatever it may be.
So to a large degree, morning, maybe a late morning event. The whole event's probably done by noon-ish.
Yeah. For today, we've got it scheduled as from 9 to 11. So just about a 2 to 3 hour event usually. Kind of depends. I mean, sometimes we'll have the whole parking lot out here filled. We had one in the evening, actually, a couple months ago, and there were cars lined up down the road. So it's been an interesting and an enjoyable events for us to have up here. It's always nice to get with car people and just kind of share the same.
And they're always looking for a reason to race each other, especially the Ford and Chevy guys. And this is a way for them to do it safely in a controlled environment on the go-kart track.
Yes, exactly, and that's kind of what we're all about here at Houston Karting Complex, is just making sure that we can bring motorsports close to home and have a nice place where people can enjoy the grassroots level of racing.
Alec, how long is that track?
The track is 7/10 of a mile, so it's not too long. It's just perfect size for our Honda rental go-karts out here.
I was gonna say that's a pretty good sized track on a go-kart. 7/10 of a mile. That's what. So how long are lap? Not your lap times, because we know your lap times are faster than everybody else's. But what's kind of a typical non-experienced person's lap time going to be out there?
Sure. What I like to say is, if you can get under a 70-second lap time the first time you're out here, you're doing pretty good.
No, that's a lot of time. So you talked earlier about a $15 race. How many laps would that be?
So all of our races are 10 minutes long. So however many laps you can do in 10 minutes.
Time. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we need an in-wheel time competition to go out there, Conrad. What do you think?
Oh, gosh. Only if they have a Bubba-sized cart for me.
We do. Yes, sir.
But we need a competition out there, Alec.
Yeah.
We need to get us out there.
Great.
Before you get too far gone out of there, you got a couple of cars out there, some Mustangs and stuff sitting back there?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, what kind of cars have you got out there as far as the Ford versus Chevy? Have you got any of the Chevys there?
Gotcha.
Right now, but we got an IROC Camaro. I'm not as much familiar with these cars, to be honest.
An IROC Camaro. Boy, that's
that's going back a little ways.
80s gen.
I had a car like that. Mine wasn't an IROC. It was a Z28.
Oh, that's a good-looking car, though.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah, it is. very pretty. And then we've got a couple more Mustangs, a Lightning.
Oh, an early Lightning too.
Yeah.
Is that a GT350? What's the blue one?
A GT500.
GT500. Wow.
And a 302 Laguna Seca edition.
That's a fun car. That's actually kind of a rare Mustang as well, though, being a new Mustang, people don't think of them as rare. But the Laguna Seca, I don't think they made very many of them, and that is...
Somebody's been working on that one.
I was going to say, that's somewhat of a track car that
it's
Ford
got roll
sold.
bars and everything in it.
I think,
So this is the guy that kind of organized everything. This is his car.
Oh, okay.
That's neat.
Yeah. I don't know. Did it come from the factory like that with the roll bar and the seats and everything? I didn't think so.
No. So they actually they don't come with the roll bar, but that little cross beam in the back, which is kind of a little difficult to see. They come factory with that installed. I actually had one of these when I was driving the Mustangs with Ford in about 2013.
Okay.
So I do know a little bit about them. They come stock with the rear seat delete, but they didn't have any sort of navigation systems or anything in them. The 13 models actually came with sync. You couldn't get them in the 12, which is what this one is. But they, super lightweight. I think their weight was 3,500 pounds.
Several hundred pounds less than less than the blue one sitting right next to it.
Yeah, for sure. This one, we were just looking at it. It's about 3,800 pounds, I believe. But it's also got a little more horsepower because of the supercharger.
And you talked about you guys are also running leagues up there at the track.
Yeah, for sure. We're
tell us about the leagues. I'm sure the leagues are like different categories of driver skill and age brackets that you run as well.
Yeah, so basically what we usually do is if you can run about a 67 to a 65 second lap time, you qualify for the leagues. That's about where we see the back of the pack running, and then the quickest guys will be running about 61 to 60 second lap times. So that's kind of the range of times that will run out in the leagues, and then we split them up by weight class. And so we have a heavyweight class and a lightweight class. And the last year, what we've done is we split 190 pounds and below and 191 and up for the two different weight classes, and then those run separate run groups, and we'll get about 10 to 15 in each run group, depending on the league and the time of year. Summer tends to be a little more popular than winter, and we'll start our first one up in January here.
And the league is like a series of races over a few weeks period of time?
Kind of like a bowling league.
Yeah. But bowling
Billiards.
leagues, usually there's a lot of alcohol involved.
Same thing with billiards. So do folks bring their own carts out there? Do they rent them for the league? How does that work?
No, so we run our just the rental go-karts for our league racing, and we are working on starting up another 4-cycle engine that goes alongside the leagues, and so we're working on launching this second, probably at the second race of the leagues. And so for this year, we're doing 5 race leagues with 10. So every other week we all have a league race, and there'll be 5 races long, and so we'll do 4 across the year.
So how fast do these actually go on the track?
Yeah, our carts will do about 55 to 60 mile an hour. It kind of depends on how good of a driver and how well you come out of the corners.
So in other words, you could easily spin out. In other words,
oh, yes. Oh, certainly. Yeah.
Rubbing is racing.
No, I don't think you want to rub. These are open wheel cars.
Are you familiar with a group called NASCARts?
NASCARs.
NASCARts, yeah. It's a group of go-kart drivers and go-karts themselves that, as far as I know, are set up for large road courses, and actually they bring their carts to Houston Motorsports Park to run the 3/8 mile banked oval out there, and they are pretty darn fast. Give them a lap or two to get up to speed, and they're scary fast actually when you got your butt about an inch off the ground.
Yeah, certainly. No, I'm not as familiar. I've always stuck with kind of the sprint racing is what we call it. Not as much of the road course or the oval. And so the series that like I've run in, I am familiar with NASCAR, so I haven't done much in it.
Right.
The series that I ran in when I was a kid is called SCUSA, Super Karts USA. And then I also did some of the Rotax, which was a Bombardier engine built by the
French,
I guess the
Canadians.
Yeah, the airplane manufacturer, and then also like the Can-Ams and all those. So they did.
They do a lot of snowmobiles.
Yes, that too. Exactly.
Yes. Same engine,
Yeah.
modified
Yes.
for each sport. Yes.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they go real fast.
What engine platform do you use on your rental cars?
Yeah, we have a Honda GX 270, and so it's just the typical. It goes kind of all different. I guess uses from like a water pump to a go-kart. We have a transmission on it that turns it into a belt drive. And so they're about 9.5 horsepower, and the karts themselves are pretty sturdy. And they do have bumpers all around them. They're not open wheel.
Okay.
And then have a little roll bar and seat belts. And so the karts themselves probably weigh about 450 pounds.
So these
they're pretty heavy.
are like a CVT transmission, or they're not shifter karts though, are they?
No, it's so I want to say I'm not exactly sure what the
basically centrifugal clutch.
Yeah, it's a
there's
centrifugal
shifting,
clutch.
right?
I've actually not taken one of the transmissions apart, to be honest. But it's just you can do either a belt drive or a chain drive. We do the belt drive because they're a bit more reliable for the rental purposes.
And what is your? Maybe you don't want to tell me this. What is the kind of the general cost of one of the karts that you guys get for the rentals? Is it, couple of thousand, 5,000, 7,000? What kind of cart are people renting from you?
Yeah, one of the rental carts. So right now we have a Sodi rental cart. We actually have a new fleet coming in the end of February, beginning of March, depending on when they come in from Italy, and they are all purpose built just for rental cart driving, and they're about $9,000 each.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh!
Holy cow!
That's
Yeah.
expensive.
So a pretty big investment on your part to trust a bunch of
It
crazy
is.
people to get behind the wheel and go out and get out there and go fast.
Yeah, how many in a fleet?
Yeah, we have 20 more coming in. Right now we have 22. And then we also have a double seat cart. We have 2 double seat carts that we're purchasing as well, in addition to the single one that we have right now. So that's so if you want to bring your kid out that's not tall enough or old enough to drive one of our karts, you can put them passenger seat, and there's actually 2 steering wheels so they can steer and drive with you. But it's basically there's a lot of safety that's built into these karts. There's a lot of technology that goes into the shock absorption, and just making sure that when people are driving, they're able to enjoy the cart, push it to its limit, maybe go over, hit a barrier or something, and still have a good time and still be safe.
Yeah, because it's going to happen.
The double seat is so you
Yes.
can bring your wife or your girlfriend with you, so they can.
I was going to say we
drive.
could bring you, Jeff.
Yeah,
'Cause you
that
don't
too.
meet the height requirements for the Cyclone.
Yeah, that too.
But we also understand, maybe we'll talk about this in another segment, that you have a couple of your own personal toy karts out there that are
I do.
Over and above what your rental cart fleet is. And I think we're going to save that for another segment.
Yeah, that's another.
That's the tease for the next segment.
Yeah, certainly.
And I'm sorry to hear about your Clemson. I see you're wearing a Clemson shirt.
Yeah, my mom.
And I know they didn't do as well as expected last night. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, that's a tough thing to do. It's to perform every year at the highest level. I always am happy to watch the games, happy to cheer them on, and this year wasn't our year, so
Yeah, we have.
There's always next year.
Yeah, there's always next
Exactly.
year. And with Clemson, there probably will be a next year as well. We have an Ohio State fan that pops on our Facebook page, and
We also have a baseball fan
he
here.
was bragging this morning.
Congratulations to both of them. It's going to be an exciting national championship game. I'm a huge college football fan,
So
I'm looking forward to that.
Roll Tide.
Boomer Sooners.
Yeah, well, they're not there
Go
this
Tigers.
year.
Go blue.
So
Yeah.
with your leagues, is there a national league organization? Can people advance from your facility to a regional event?
Yeah, so basically that's why we're starting to work on the Bring Your Own Kart League that in accordance with our current one, and so we're moving people into like if you want to go competition racing, then that's what the 4-cycle karts are for. So they run a Briggs LO206, so it's a local option 206 engine, and that will be something that you can pick up and take around to different racetracks. There are other tracks. Our sister track up in Dallas called Dallas Karting Complex run leagues as well. And so there are other places that do the leagues, but there's no rental kart national league, so to speak. If you want to pursue a further, go at a higher level, basically, then you would go to where you buy your own kart and run it. And you kind of can travel around a bunch of different tracks. There's some local regional stuff in Texas, and then you can go. SCUSA is still a very large around the country. And then there's some other stuff, and so there's plenty of options where you can go race karts, just not the rental karts as much.
Will they come and run at your facility, or do they need a larger, different setup for the facility?
Yeah, we typically, we're not necessarily after running big races at our facility, just because we're really focused on the grassroots level and kind of getting people into the sport. There's a track just around the corner over kind of towards Kingwood, and they do some larger events, and the regional series is called Texas Pro Kart Challenge, and so you can run kind of, that goes between Dallas, even sometimes up to Oklahoma. There's another track out in Katy that's just a club track, and so those series will kind of run in those different places, but we focus mainly on like the rental karts and then the 4-cycle karts, because our track's just a little too tight. It's meant to be really exciting for the rental go-karts, and not as much open space for some of the faster karts.
The SCUSA has actually been on television where
I've seen it.
What is the average age of folks coming out there, Alec?
I would say we have a couple different groups of it depends on the time of the week. So if you, like, our Thursdays are our $15 race days, so $15 races all days. You'll see kind of the age group of 18 to about 25, 26 that are coming out on those days. And then on the weekends, we get a lot of families that are coming out here just to have some fun. So you've got, the parents that are anywhere from like mid-30s to late 40s with their kids that are, 12 and up. And then, of course, sorry, go for it.
Alex, thank you very much. And I know that we're going to be back with you later on in the program. So we'll talk more about all the karting and all the stuff that's going on up there at your facility. So thanks so much. All right, time now for this hour's car review. It's the 2021 Cadillac XT6. Available trim levels are the luxury, the premium luxury, and the sport. And I had a chance to drive the premium luxury all-wheel drive. What size is it? The government calls this a small SUV. It is. Really? It's really? Can I get a little mic here? No, there's no microphone. You've been cut off.
Can I get a little mic here? I would not call that a small SUV.
Nor would I, but that's what the government puts it as.
Wow.
Small SUV. Of course, they look at the interior space.
Okay.
That's how they come up with these classes, which is ridiculous because this looks like something that the XT6, grade schooler would come up with.
Yeah, the XT6 is basically on the same chassis as the GMC Acadia.
All new for 2020, so it's a 7-passenger crossover. Exterior features, sharp, edgy, Cadillac front fascia, as you can see there. Distinctive rear lighting with a sunshade over the back glass. Just the right amount of chrome trim, as far as I can tell. Built-in dual exhaust tips, nice wheels. This is a really good-looking car. What I liked about it, the overall appearance gets 2 thumbs up from yours truly. What could use improvement? Nothing. I think it's distinctive. It's got the Cadillac look. And even though that it does share the same platform as the Pontiac, the Oldsmobile, and the Chevrolet.
Well, I think Pontiac and Oldsmobile don't exist anymore.
Exactly.
So I think it is the Chevrolet. What is the Chevy?
Traverse.
Traverse and the GMC Acadia.
Yeah,
and the Buick.
I was pulling your leg.
Okay. And the Buick Enclave.
Interior highlights: attractive, well laid out dash. Well-vetted infotainment system, easy to use. Handy passive phone charger under the center console.
You like that?
I love that. Right under the center console, it's got this thing that you slide your phone in, kind of at a 45-degree angle, so it doesn't take up all that space. And it's kind of out of the way, except for the very top, I don't know, quarter of an inch or so.
And what difference does it make? Because you're going to Bluetooth it into the vehicle anyhow,
Exactly.
so you don't have to touch your phone.
Quality materials throughout the cabin. Cargo trunk room, well, small storage space with the third row up, put the third row down, and you've got plenty. What I liked about it, the overall interior design is definitely an A+. Engine on this one is a 3.6-liter V6, puts out 310 horsepower, 271 pound-feet of torque. New for this year is an optional 287 horsepower four-cylinder. This gets a 9-speed automatic transmission with a tow rating of up to 4,000 pounds. As far as mileage is concerned, city 18, highway 25 for combined to 21, which is typical for this V6 engine. I got 22.2 miles per gallon over 255.2 miles. What I liked about it, it was well matched to the 9-speed automatic transmission. What I liked about the ride and handling, smooth, Cadillac style, baby.
You say you were riding in luxury.
I was. Yeah, I really did like it. Base trim price, $54,795. Prices tested was $70,465. Base model price, $47,995 for the Cadillac XT6 premium luxury all-wheel drive. Now its competitors, the Acura MDX for $44,500. That's where it starts. Audi Q7 starts at $59,770, and the Lincoln Aviator. But it's spelled Aviator.
Aviator.
$51,100.
Jeffrey liked it too. I think I heard him talk about it.
I happened to have right after this the Chevy Traverse. There's a big difference between the Cadillac and the Chevy.
Oh, yeah, just the interior trim being different. And people, we talk about a shared chassis between Chevy, Buick, and GMC. Yeah, the metal is the same, but boy, the suspension tuning and all of that other stuff is vastly different between the brands, and they've always done that.
Yeah, well,
they make that distinction.
I can go back to an event I went to that was put on by Lexus, and I asked the Lexus guy, I said, so what's the difference between this Lexus and the Toyota? He says,
I bet you he twitched. He twitched when you asked him that.
It's a legitimate question because it's the same chassis.
Yeah.
But it's quite different. And he explained to me that the Lexus gets more chassis weld points than the Toyota does. It goes down a different assembly line, even though you would think it wouldn't, but it does have its own assembly line.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I didn't either.
Yeah, and so at least this one that I was questioning him about and asked me what specifically it was.
It was a good answer anyway.
It was a good answer, whether he was lying to me or not. I can't imagine that he would do that. And I would imagine that the Cadillac XT6 is similar in nature.
Yeah, but they don't go down a different assembly line. The Buicks, the Chevrolets, the Cadillacs, the GMCs are all rolling.
But it sure does feel different driving.
They try and they do a very good job of making huge differences between the ride quality.
We have a cruise-in calendar, and I'm going to start it off by tomorrow morning out at the Princess Hamburgers out at Sharpstown Golf Course.
6600 Harbor Town Drive.
Yeah, it's in the Sharpstown area. It is a cruise-in, any cars, any makes, any models, 9 a.m. to noon tomorrow right there at the Princess Hamburgers.
Don will be there signing autographs. He'll be driving the red Charger Hellcat.
It's
red
orange,
eye.
actually.
Is it orange?
It's orange.
It was dark when I drove in. You've had this thing about orange vehicles. You had an orange one last week.
The Mustang.
So anyhow, Chrome and coffee tomorrow at Prince's Hamburger. Also, the Woodlands Cars and Coffee for a Cause. It's at 6:30 in the morning. At 8 o'clock in the morning is the 409 Car Cruise in Port Arthur, Texas, over in Mars.
I know Mars will be there. Not.
8 a.m. in the morning, Cars, Coffee, and Donuts in Navasota. You notice they all have to have their own derivative of Coffee and Cars.
Absolutely.
And then at 11 a.m. is the Houston Lowriders lunch, New Year's lunch at the McGregor Park.
All right. Thank you, sir. The In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com, along with Twitch. Podcasts available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcasts, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, Pandora, Amazon, and Podcast Addict. In Wheel Time Car Show continues right after this quick break. Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild-to-wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's premier cruise-in, and you're invited to join in. Whether you're a cruiser or spectator, Tailpipes and Tacos is the place to enjoy made-to-order breakfast tacos, fresh coffee, and mingle with Houston's fun car people. Mark your calendar for Saturday, January 16th for Tailpipes and Tacos at the Lupe Tortilla Mexican Restaurant in Katy, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Tailpipes and Tacos is free, and everyone is invited. You'll see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods all at one location. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a friends and family event. The Lupe Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupe founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise in, Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, January 16th, 8 to 11 a.m. at Lupe's in Katy. The In Wheel Time Car Show will be there too. Get your ride ready, and we'll see you at the Tailpipes and Tacos Saturday morning cruise in, January 16th, 8 to 11 a.m. at Lupe's in Katy, weather permitting. This is the award-winning Car Talk Show, In Wheel Time, your weekly go-to all things automotive place. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars, King Conrad DeLong, and Jeff Zekin just off camera over there. I'm Don Armstrong. So glad that you could join us today. And we're going to go back out to California and talk with Mr. Jack Nerad, ladies and gentlemen. And there he is, looking sharp on the air, as he always is. Jack, it's good to see you, sir.
Thanks for getting up so early on a Saturday morning.
My pleasure. Great to talk to you guys. I'd love to hang out with you.
You know, Jack has been actually in broadcasting for quite some time, and I wanted to kind of question you a little bit about that. I know that back in 1993...
It wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, no doubt. Do we know where that is coming from, Mr. Mars?
No, sir.
Okay. We're going to try to figure out what the interference is with you coming in there from California. But I know that the America on the Road radio program debuted in 1993, Jack. Guess what? You're old like me.
Oh, gosh.
I'm at least as old as you, I imagine, Don.
Yeah, well.
At least so.
At any rate, Jack, we've got some interference there. We're going to let you and Mr. Mars work on that in the meantime, and
be right back to you.
Yeah, I'll be right back to you. So hang in there with us. All I could tell you is that I thought that Jack and I had something in common, and this is the first that I knew about his debut on the radio in 1993.
America on the Road.
America on the Road, and he started off with a fellow co-host of his who has since passed away, and at any rate, it was a very popular show. It was heard on 300 stations nationwide, first on Westwood One and then on CBS Radio. Mike Anson was his co-partner's name, and his health ultimately deteriorated to the point where Mike subsequently passed away. But now Jack has got a new co-host by the name of Chris Teague, a Maine-based auto writer. So you can imagine that simulcast.
East Coast and a West Coast.
Yeah, East Coast and West Coast. Yeah. Ouch. So
somebody's up early or somebody's up late.
Late, one or the other, yeah.
Maine's got some beautiful driving roads, just like California.
You know, I've never been to Maine, but want to go.
I've been to Maine. I kind of spent my summers in Maine with my grandparents, and a beautiful place.
Well, how lucky are you?
Well, how lucky my parents were, because they just send me away for 2 weeks to live with my grandparents, and I drive them nuts, and my parents could rest and relax and not have to worry.
Were you there by yourself with your grandparents, or did you have friends in Maine?
No. Well, I mean, I made friends in Maine because I did that every summer.
So you weren't there long
years.
enough to get into too much trouble.
I was there long enough to get into trouble.
And
just
then
not
they would
too
send
much
them away.
trouble. Yeah. They could only take me for 2-3 weeks at a time, and then they'd send me back. But that was all about how beautiful Maine was. And
Well,
were
you
just
didn't
kinda
go
out
to
in the country.
Kennebunkport, did you?
Been to Kennebunkport. We lived near Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Their place was in Elliott, Maine, and York Beach. And then this other at York Beach was the Nubble lighthouse. So when you see a lot of these picturesque paintings of lighthouses, the Nubble's one of those that's been painted by lots of.
Did you do any shrimping
painters.
or crabbing or lobsters?
We did clam. We dug clams up in the mud flats. So anyhow, I think Mike's waving like Jack might be back on the air
All
without
right.
that mechanical
Let's
noise.
go back to Jack and see how good he is now. Jack, let me hear you.
Let's see how good I am.
Oh,
now.
that's
Am I better?
1,000
Do I
times
sound a lot
better.
better? Maybe I'm somewhat better. Yeah,
Yes.
good. I'm
Much better. Thank you so much. As a matter of fact, I was, while you and Mike were getting that fixed, I was telling everybody about your original partner, Mike Anson, who's since passed away. And you've got back on doing a podcast now with new co-host Chris Teague. How does that work out, you on the West Coast and him on the East Coast?
Well, it works out really well, actually. It's kind of interesting. We do it in some similar way to what we're doing right now, right? I'm here on the West Coast, and you guys are in Houston, I think. So
yes,
or the environs of Houston, and I think it's kind of interesting to have that cross country thing going on. He has a different point of view. I always chide him about the weather because it's 14 degrees at where he is and 75 where I am, so I can always lord that over him, and it's kind of fun.
Well, yeah, and especially from what I understand that the car show is kind of similar to ours in the fact that you call it a generalist automotive program. And
Right.
I think that ours is too, because we talk about pretty much all things automotive here on the N-Wheel Time Show. And, so we talk about racing, car shows, new car reviews. We actually do a used car review of the week. Thought we'd bring that in because, not everybody is up to buying a brand new car. Instead, they're into buying. That's all they can afford is a used car. And let's face
There's
it,
a lot of value in a used car too. I think
I would think more.
Exceptional value.
Yeah, exactly. And do you guys do that kind of similar to us?
Yeah, largely. We basically have a very strong format that we've followed for the better part of 25 years now. And we do an opening segment of news, and then we do some road testing. I will talk to Chris about the car I drove. He will talk to me about the car he drove. We'll do a listener question segment, and then we'll do a pretty long interview segment. I think that's one of the things that separates our shows from a lot of others.
Right.
Car shows is we really do lengthy interviews with some movers and shakers in the industry each week. So we'll have a chief engineer on, say, the Chevy Tahoe or the Cadillac Escalade or the Toyota Supra, and kind of get deep into that particular car. I think podcast audiences kind of like going deep sometimes, so that's fun. And that's kind of our show. I know you guys do 3 hours. We only do 1. I can't imagine the difficulty doing 3 hours, but I guess there's.
How long are your
more of you than
podcasts,
there are.
Jack?
How long have we been podcasting?
No, how long are the podcasts?
Oh, the podcasts are about 50 minutes long.
Gotcha.
So it would be essentially like an hour show on radio, I imagine.
Right, exactly. Well, we bust ours up into 30-minute segments, and we stretch them out over 6 days. On obviously, the 7th day is our live show, so that's kind of our format that we've been fairly,
consistent with.
Yeah, and it seems to work out for us.
And we're always
Seems
looking
like
for
a really good idea, actually. Doing something every day or close to every day is probably a hot tip.
And we're always
I wish
looking
we
for
could get
somebody interesting, and that's why we have you on today.
So I want to know, Jack, what is it that you're driving this week? What kind of manufacturer car are you
Well,
driving?
I'm driving some pretty cool stuff this week. I mean, I'm on the North American Car of the Year jury. Actually, I'm the vice president of the North American Car of the Year jury.
God, they dared make you the vice president?
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, they must have been looking the other way when it happened, right? But I've got a Mustang Mach-E right outside my house.
Oh,
and
wow.
I've got so pretty cool. Pretty cool to have that. And to have that for a while. I drove one for a couple hours, say 3 or 4 weeks ago. But now to live with that vehicle for several days, you guys know how valuable that is versus just a quick drive.
15 minutes
living
doesn't
with
do
these
it.
cars, Yeah. So a really interesting vehicle, I think.
Well, do you find that with the marketing person from Ford right out your down the street from you out there in California, that actually helps you get new cars from Ford like that?
Maybe. I'm not certain that's true, actually. Getting the cars is always kind of a mystery to me. And, I've been editor of Motor Trend magazine, and I was executive editorial director at Kelley Blue Book. And, now I have a podcast, right, and do some writing for Driving Today and some other things. But it's always kind of more a weird science, I think, than it is.
Well, we tend to
rational.
agree. Yeah, most definitely. So, well, that's pretty exciting that you've got the Mach-E. We're all dying to get into that, and I don't think that it's in the Texas press fleet just yet. And so I want to know more about the North American Car of the Year competition and how you guys judge those kinds of things, because, the manufacturers hold that in high regard.
Yeah, it is a very highly regarded award. I think it's more than 25 years old, something like that, about 25 or 30 years old. And there are 50 independent jurors. So they're guys like me who have background in this. They have to be have strong bona fides, shall we say, about testing cars. And they test a lot of cars every year. It's not like they tested cars 10 years ago, but they're not testing cars now. They're testing cars now, and they are very skilled testers. And then there are essentially kind of 50 procedures. So there are 50 of us, and we each do them maybe a different way. It's not like there is one procedure. I designed the Car of the Year procedure for Motor Trend back in the day, a long, long time ago. And what I found when I was doing that was it tested the procedure as much as it tested the cars, if you get me. I mean, a lot of times you look at a particular thing or weight it a particular way, and if you weight, say, interior style or comfort in a particular way, it'll change the result versus if you changed it a different way. So I think having 50 different ways of testing vehicles is actually a really good way of arriving at the North American Car of the Year, the Truck of the Year, and the Utility of the Year.
Because it allows all the various points of view to weigh in with some consistency.
Yeah, absolutely. Each of those jurors will have their own procedure, but in combination, that's a really good procedure to have all those different points of view.
Jack, how does that procedure differ from, let's say, Consumer Reports and the way that they look at cars and measure their attributes?
Well, I think Consumer Reports has their procedure. And for that matter, Motor Trend has their procedure, right? And they're perfectly valid procedures, but they're one procedure, right? And it takes it a particular way. I think Consumer Reports looks at reliability. They strongly try to do that. They're much less about, say, what an enthusiast would like. I think when we see Motor Trend Car of the Year or Car and Driver's 10 Best, they're really designed for the enthusiast reader who likes those magazines, right? It's more than just something for the broader audience. I think for North American Car of the Year, we want to reach the broader audience. We're not just going to concentrate on the car that is the most fun to drive or the truck that is the most fun to drive. We wanted to identify for our visitors or people who care about the award, what the best buy is, really. I mean, at least that's my procedure. Which of these is, the biggest advance in its segment or the biggest advance of all these vehicles?
And then to qualify to be in the bucket for testing has to be new platform or a recently or to this year a pretty big refresh. Is that correct?
Right. Absolutely right. It's got to be either a complete redo, a completely new car, a complete redo of a vehicle. We're a little less stringent about that with trucks because trucks don't change as rapidly. So we don't want to just not have a truck segment. We're lucky this year in that we have the F-150 is all new this year, but you won't necessarily have an all new truck every year.
Right.
But you will have some trucks that are significantly revised and or there's a variant of them. One of the variants that is in this year's Truck of the Year is the Ram 1500 TRX.
Right.
So that's a significant variant of a vehicle that was new a couple years ago.
So let's talk about the finalists. Do you have a list of the finalists so far?
I do. In fact, it's staring at me right on my screen here.
Funny you should bring that up, Don.
We can see the reflection in your glasses.
Well done, Don. Thanks so much. I'm glad you didn't ask me about some other things because I wouldn't not necessarily have known about that.
Right.
But let's start with cars, and then we'll work our way to SUVs, right? Because that's kind of the way the market is going these days. So with cars, the three finalists are the Genesis G80, all new,
large
sports or luxury sedan from Genesis. The entire Hyundai Elantra line, which includes that's their compact sedan, of course, and hatchback. It includes the N line, which is the performance version of that vehicle. And then the all-new Nissan Sentra. So these are really very approachable cars. Two of them are extremely approachable. I mean, much lower cost than the average transaction price of a vehicle out there.
Well, I find it interesting, Jack, that they're not necessarily the same size sedans.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's one of the things when you're choosing a car of the year, a truck of the year, or SUV of the year, you're going to have different sizes, right? I mean, especially in cars and SUVs, you're going to have, in the SUV market, for example, I think there were 25 qualifiers or something like that are basically all new or heavily revised for this year. So we had to winnow down from 25 to get a manageable number that we could test, about 12, 13 or so. And then we winnow it down again to 3 finalists, and then actually, the balloting is starting today. I've got my ballot today from North American Car of the Year, and we're going to finish up this week and announce on January 11th.
So to make itself the car, truck, or SUV of the year, do you do the comparison of that vehicle in its category, in its size category, and where it places in relation to that, or just purely based on what that car brings to market regardless of size? Let's say we're talking
kind of a combination of both, really, and you can look at both ways. I mean, I look at it as I'm trying to find a vehicle that is a leader in its segment, number one. Like if something were just an also ran in its segment, I think you'd have a hard time naming it Car of the Year, right? If there are other cars in its segment that are better, one would think that mostly a brand new car would be better than what's out there, but that's not always the case, as you guys, absolutely well know. So I'm looking for something that is a leader in its segment, and then something that has market significance. It's
and that's how you
can an esoteric, weird, vehicle that's going to have just a few sales and not really be important in the market.
So what are some of the other vehicles that you've got whittled down to the finalists?
Well, in Truck of the Year, it's the F-150 I talked about, the Ram 1500 TRX, the variant of the Ram 1500, and then the Jeep Gladiator Mojave, which is a variant of the Jeep Gladiator midsize pickup truck. So one complete redo of a line that happens to be the best-selling vehicle in America.
It has
and
been
then
for
some
40
variants
years.
Of some other trucks.
Yeah. I'm surprised. Well, it might not have made the cutoff, and that would be the Wrangler Rubicon 392.
It didn't make the cut, and it will probably be in our competition next year.
Yeah.
It has to. We make the stipulation that the vehicle we name as car, truck, or utility of the year go on sale pretty early on in that model year. So there's got to be a 2021 model, and it's got to be available for purchase.
So looking at your Jeep Wrangler, the Gladiator that you chose, when you review it for truck of the year, do you look at it with just one powertrain, or do you look at the variety of powertrains that are available?
It really depends on what's in the vehicle. If it's available with various powertrains, we try to drive one with each of the powertrains.
Okay.
I mean, it's not always possible, and heaven knows this year it's been harder than ever, as you guys well know, to get vehicles to test. If we're not testing all the powertrains, we at least look at the powertrains that are being offered to see what's available to the consumer.
So you do take it into consideration.
Yeah, absolutely. We're pretty thorough about that. And again, each of the jurors has their own procedure, but we try to be very thorough about looking at all the variants.
Okay, so we got a couple of things going there. One is the truck category, and one is the Car of the Year competition. So anything else?
Yeah, we do. We have a utility category. And of course, as you guys know, I mean, utilities are the largest sellers right now. Everybody's turning to utilities. And I think some pretty interesting stuff. We have the Ford Mach-E, which we talked about as we opened the segment. And then the Land Rover Defender. That's a vehicle that a lot of people are really excited about, at least the follow-on of what's going on with Land Rover and that Defender name. And then another vehicle from Genesis, their first SUV, which is a really important vehicle for them because they've been struggling in the luxury market without an SUV when the luxury market is SUV dominated. Right. And that's the GV80 from Genesis. So I think an interesting cross-section of vehicles, one that's an all-electric, an all-electric SUV is a pretty interesting concept. Yes. And then you have some fairly expensive vehicles, actually, to round that out.
Well, who doesn't like an expensive SUV? I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly. We all like driving other people's cars, right? And the more expensive, the better.
So what do we have to look forward to? When will this be announced?
This will be announced on January 11th, on Monday, January 11th. I'm traveling to Detroit to participate in that. I believe we're going to be doing a live webcast, so look for that. You can see that unfold live, and it's going to be a different kind of program than we usually do because we're doing it largely virtually, but several of us will be in a studio outside Detroit and doing a half-hour broadcast announcing the winner.
Well, let me understand this. So we're going to go from 72-degree California weather to a big mystery in the middle of winter in Detroit. That ought to be quite a culture shock.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I used to go to the Detroit Auto Show, as we all did, in the middle of winter, and you
never knew.
Yeah, it's like
I know, but that was my winter because we don't have winter down. We're like you. We don't have much of a winter, and so going to Detroit for 3 or 4 days. Okay, now I've had my fill of winter. I'm going back to Texas.
Yeah. The beauty of it was you could leave.
Exactly.
That's it.
You always keep that return ticket close at hand. You never want to leave that back in the hotel.
Okay. Well, so I know that you've got other things going on. I know that a lot of the focus right now is on this Car Truck of the Year, Utility of the Year war, if you will, for that award, because it really is a very important thing, and I'm sure sells several thousand vehicles just on the award merit alone.
I think it is very important, and I think a lot of manufacturers have done surveys trying to understand what awards are important, and the North American Car of the Year Award and its associated awards are deemed to be very, very important by consumers.
What is the name of the organization? Is there one other than the North American?
It is really the North American Car of the Year, and I think it's incorporated. It is a nonprofit. We're a volunteer organization. The money we collect either goes to more testing or we donate a lot to charity. We had the opportunity, I think, to donate something like $40,000 to some college scholarships and some other charitable organizations this past year. We look to do that again. So it is largely self-supporting, and a lot of us donate a lot of our time. I spend a lot of time on this non-paid job of mine as vice president of North American Car of the Year.
So these 50 categories, questions, these drilled down surveys, aspects of the award process, is that made public, or is that kind of kept close to the vest?
Well, I mean, we have 50 juror members who do their procedures. I'm not sure that they have written procedures that we could publicize. We try to do this very transparently. We announce the vehicles that are going to be considered. We then announce the results of the first balloting that gives us the semifinalists. Then we announce the finalists, and then we announce the award winner. So, and I think all the balloting is available to people who want to look at it. So you can see who voted for what, if you really care.
Yeah.
And it is a balloting, too. It is not like 50 guys get together in a room and we fight it out. It's not like the back room at a political convention or something like that.
Oh, come on. That would make it so much more fun.
Yeah, well, it would make for a TV show, I guess.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Well, Jack, it's always great to talk to you, and thanks so much for giving us the insight on the North American Car Truck of the Year competition. So a week from Sunday, it'll all be announced.
Yeah, I think a week from Monday.
Monday, sorry, yes.
Yeah, a week from Monday, January 11th.
So
I'm traveling to Detroit on Sunday, so that's a party for me.
Exactly. So how do we log in to see the announcement? Where do we log in?
It will be on the North American Car of the Year website, which I believe is nactroy.com.
Okay.
But, if you did a search for North American Car of the Year, you would find that website or search for that website.
We'll be watching you,
I think
Jack.
there will be some media announcements as well.
Okay, very good. Well, Jack, it's always great to talk to you. Thanks so much for taking the time today. Enjoy that California weather. It's a little bit chilly here in Texas today, but we'll look forward to talking to you at least in a couple of weeks, okay?
Yeah, I absolutely look forward to it. And, Happy New Year to all three of you, and also to your listeners and viewers. And you take care, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.
We love you. Stay safe. Thanks again, Jack.
Thanks.
Jack Nerad talking about the finalists of the North American Car of the Year competition. Very interesting.
Yep.
On our show, for me personally, I developed a kind of an overview of the car that I'm driving and try to give my impression, but not boring people out of their minds, out of the, because we could drill it down to the size of the glove box.
Yeah.
Did you like that?
The size of the tires.
Yeah, we don't
really care.
exactly.
If we could find a torque wrench, we could talk about the torque on the head bolts.
You know
and
what?
stuff.
It just so happens.
Dun, dun,
Wait just a minute.
You want me to reach over and whack him with it?
I just happen to have the George Skelton Torque Wrench of the Year. And here it is that he has bought for me and spent a lot of money on this because of my anger over the Craftsman non-lifetime warranty that it came with.
You were so torqued off about that.
I was. And this one, by the way, he was purchased over at Harbor Freight for 1/100th of the price of the egotistical Craftsman junk that they sell.
And it's better than the floor jacks they were selling. The jack stands that they recalled.
Jack stands.
Yeah, jack stands. Yeah, that was a good one there. Okay. Well, we're coming up to the top of the hour and hour number 3 of our program. And I actually have a list that's standing by. And I'm not going to do it now because we're too close to the top of the hour. But sometime in the next hour, I'm going to do this. The cars that will debut in 2021. And I have a whole list of them. 1, 2, 3, 4 pages.
A debutante list.
A debutante, yes.
You had me at Cadillac.
There it is right there. Let's see, is Cadillac on here?
I don't think
It should be.
on.
Right?
Yeah, it is.
I've got a
Actually,
They
pen.
got a new one there.
There you
yes,
go.
this is just a tease. So Cadillac, the CT4V Blackwing and the CT5V Blackwing performance sedans coming this summer.
Blackwing is
tearing up. I'm tearing up.
the hot rod of the hot rods.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So we do have more coming up here on the In Wheel Time show. We are now going to take a very quick break, and we'll be back right after these important messages. Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild-to-wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial
Alec is
wraps,
ready.
Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's premier cruise-in, and you're invited to join in. Whether you're a cruiser or spectator, Tailpipes and Tacos is the place to enjoy made-to-order breakfast tacos, fresh coffee, and mingle with Houston's fun car people. Mark your calendar for Saturday, January 16th for Tailpipes and Tacos at the Lupe Tortilla Mexican Restaurant in Katy, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Tailpipes and Tacos is free free and everyone is invited. You'll see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods all at one location. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a friends and family event. The Lupi Tortilla Mexican restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupi founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise in, tailpipes and tacos. Saturday, January 16th, 8 to 11 a.m. at Lupi's in Katy. The In Real Time Car Show will be there too. Get your ride ready and we'll see you at the Tailpipes and Tacos Saturday morning cruise in, January 16th, 8 to 11 a.m. at Lupi's in Katy, weather permitting. Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? You found it. You're listening or watching In Real Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Real Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. From Studio A in Texas, USA, it's the award-winning all things automotive car talk show, In Wheel Time. Just ahead, a review of our pre-owned car of the week. Mr. Zekin is going to talk about the 2016 Chevy Malibu LTZ. You're going to find out how much used car value you get for buying one of those. A look at a few events that you might be interested in around town this week in auto history. And actually, we're going to have some extra special things like... There was a brain blank that just rolled by. We've got some extra special things.
Oh, I've got something special.
Yeah?
Watch this.
Be careful.
Watch this.
Oh, look, it's Jeffy.
It's Jeff Zekin, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey!
God save the Queen.
Yeah, that's right. And if you want to do the actual Queen wave, it's this.
It's just a rotating.
Yeah.
No, it's not even that. It's this.
Yeah, because if you do that, that's the prom queen wave.
Well, I'm doing this because Don got my wife and I hooked on The Crown. So through the holidays, binge watch.
So you're switching from Jim Beam to Crown Royal?
Exactly. Oh, actually, I've got some Texas blend. So we'll get into that later.
Okay.
More
Yeah.
Jeff. We need more Jeff.
That's right. All right. So we're going to go back to Alec Udell, and he is with the Houston Karting Complex. And Alec, thank you for spending all of your morning with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here this morning. I always love talking about cars and karts and all things automotive. So
well,
it's nice to be with you guys.
we also really appreciate the fact, since it is a little bit chilly up there in Conroe and here as well in the Southwest Houston area, that you are now indoors, and
Yes,
we are dying to see what's in Alec's garage.
Well, it's more than just my garage, but for now we'll take a quick tour around one of our buildings up here at Houston Karting Complex. So we finished this one over the summer, and we've right now got a kind of a storage facility with quite a few cars in here. Some of them are being prepped and getting ready for work over next door. And then we've got all of the go-karts here as well.
Wow. Now,
Back there in that corner, that black one, right back there in that
the
corner.
R8? The Ford GT.
Yeah.
We got a GT in here.
So these are all your toys.
No, not quite. No,
Porsche
just
back there and everything.
Just this one. Well, this one and this is my toy as well.
Oh, these are the special karts that we talked about at last segment.
so let's talk about those
Exactly.
carts, Alec. What are they, and how much horsepower? What kind of motor? Do they have transmissions? We need to know everything that there is to know about that.
Yeah, and so I have them spread out here by a different grouping here. So we've got this engine here. This is the one that I've been doing a lot of training with. It's a two-stroke. It's a two-stroke competition engine. It's 100 cc's. It's a chain-driven chain-driven centrifugal clutch. So there's no transmission, no shifting gears. You get in it. It's a tag kart. So it's got a touch and go. That's what tag stands for. And so it's got electric start.
What do you mean tag and go? What does that mean?
Just touch and go. So that's what tag stands for.
So
Touch what?
It's push started, right? It's a push button start, right?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
push-
you don't have to
push
pull a
button
rope
start.
like you did on the old Briggs and Stratton.
Yeah, exactly. So, like,
It's got
the
Take it out of gear.
battery's dead. Excuse me.
it's got an electric starter on it.
But if it's
Yeah,
a direct drive, wouldn't the thing shoot out the side of the wall in there?
Well, it's a centrifugal clutch.
Not
you have
until
to
you get enough
rev it up.
RPMs in it and the clutch
Yeah.
engages.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got you.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're just, I mean, and that's pretty much how all the competition karts are. So it's just, they're chain driven, solid rear axle. So this one I use, it's got about 15 to 16 horsepower. It's got a carburetor. It's not like fuel injector, everything super basic. So this is kind of what I learned how to work on karts and, kind of how engines work and everything. Back when I was, I don't know, I started karting when I was 5 years old and kind of grew up and started working in our kart shop when I was about 14. So these are very basic, but super helpful tools. I mean, the tires are pretty sticky. I got a new set back there because these ones are all torn up and almost worn out or corded. You can actually see
That one's
the
been off
cords
the
right
track
here.
a little bit there.
Yikes.
Yeah. Well, it's just picking up a little bit of the grass and hay around here. Yeah.
That
yeah,
seat. That seat looks like it could be really something of a mind changer when it comes to somebody that had back surgery recently. I can't imagine trying to get into that and come out of it without being crippled in some way.
It's a little snug.
Yeah.
Is the seat body formed to you specifically?
No. They're just this Tillet is the seat manufacturer, and so there's the size of the seat right there. I wear like a rib vest when I drive, and so that kind of gives you a little bit of a some support around your sides because the G forces in the karts. You're up 1.82 Gs pretty consistently. And so it's a great.
Just saying those words makes my back ache. Yeah, 1.8 Gs.
So you said it's a two-stroke, 100 cc.
Yes.
Horsepower output you said was about 15.
Yeah.
And what would your top speed in that be?
So it depends. That you gear it for whatever track you're on. These engines will run up to like 16,000 RPM. Yeah. So when they're screaming, there's no rev limiter or anything on them, and so you gear them to top out. So right now it's geared for the track out at Katy, and when we were running out there, I actually have a little lap timer on here that has GPS and does RPM and everything, coordinate all in the screen there. And so we were doing about 70 mile an hour at that track.
Oh my gosh!
These karts are pretty quick. They accelerate very quickly. The two strokes have quite a lot of top end, compared to a four stroke, which I've actually got a couple of those in here as well. So this is a kart that I've been training with. I actually got this other one, the CRG here, which is new. So I'll get another engine. This is kind of what a bare chassis would look like. So I'll get an engine put on the chassis here, and basically be doing a bit more training with this one. It's cool with this chassis. You can actually. So it's got the slots in here, and where the axle goes in, you can actually change the wheelbase of this chassis based on what track you're going to. So if you have a shorter, tighter track like we do here at HKC, I'll run the shorter wheelbase. If I go to some of the longer tracks, I can pivot it back and create a longer wheelbase out of the chassis. So
on the other kart
cool.
that you were showing us, how much would you say that you have in the actual value of that? Whether you paid all this money for it, or all the pieces that you put together to make this particular...
Yeah, if you say that your rental karts are somewhere in the $9,000 range, what would you say your investment in this one was?
So this kart, brand new, is going to run somewhere around $7,500.
Okay.
And the thing with the...
That's with the engine.
Yeah, with the engine. So
Okay.
depending on the engine, like this one in the back here, this is a water-cooled 125cc engine. And it's been sitting for a little while, you can tell. So this one would be more around 9,000. That engine's a little more expensive in the package. These air-cooled, so this is an air-cooled one with the fins. they're a little less expensive. So this entire package, engine, ready to rock, ready to drive, is about $7,500.
So, but that's just the cart. Now you've got to buy the tools to work on the cart. You got to buy the tires frequently, because you go through those, and then you've got to have something to haul it in, and then you have to have something to pull the trailer that this goes in. So I would imagine it can get very pricey pretty quickly.
Yeah, it certainly can. When I first started in karting, my father and we had a Tahoe that we put the go-kart in the back of. So you can kind of get as basic as that. You know, you can put it, this would fit in the back of a pickup truck if you take the wheels off of it. So there are some creative ways you can transport it, but you know, the running cost of one of these is not cheap, but also, you know, it's not like a GT3 car where those are like, you know, a few $1,000s an hour. So
how much does that cart weigh?
This one will weigh, with me in it, the running weight is 360 pounds, and so that's driver included. So I weigh about 140, so about 200 to 220 pounds depending on the driver.
At 70 miles an hour.
Yeah. 2 inches off the ground.
Yeah.
So when you said that, Conrad looked at me and his nostrils flared.
Let's move on to the next story. So when you take these to the limit, you know, you tend to go over the limit from time to time.
Sure. Do they spin pretty flat, or do you really have to worry about catching an edge?
I mean, the only way that these really will go over is when you hit wheel to wheel with them.
Okay.
So they're not just going to topple over or anything. You've got to hit something, or you got to. But even if you hit something, generally you're on the ground. You're not going to go up. But if you hit wheel to wheel, that's when things can get airborne.
Have you ever been on your head?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, a couple of times.
Yikes.
So that's what's wrong with you today.
Yeah. That's that and the exhaust fumes. You know.
The exhaust fumes. Everybody loves the exhaust fumes.
Yeah. Speaking of exhaust fumes, there was a fuel bottle back there. I mean, do these run on? What kind of fuel do these run on?
So we run with it's either 98 octane fuel, or we use the VPC12 and then mix it with about 6 to 8 ounces to a gallon, depending on where you're going and what the weather's like.
Okay.
So are there rules in place as to what kind of fuel you can run, or what the mixture is?
Yes. Yeah. Generally, there's what kind of fuel, and the mixture is into that. But the mixture is more about, the engine reliability. So if you run it with too little fuel, then you're not lubricating the cylinder enough, and that's when you can have detonations or have an issue and the engine's going to blow up.
So have you blown up any engines, Alec?
Gosh, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
At 16,000 RPM, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
You know, it's running so fast you can't even see the piston going up and down in the thing.
Yeah, and so with these, you run them to about the service life on the engines before you have to rebuild them is about 25 to 30 hours, depending on how hard you run them. And so when you get up to that limit, you're going to have parts that fail, things that fail in them. And so, of course, in this sport, I've definitely gone through my fair share of engines. I've spent a lot of time on a racetrack.
And when you rebuild an engine, what do? You hone the cylinder walls, change piston rings, bearings, that sort of thing?
Yeah, it just depends on what's gone bad, but for sure you'll go through the cylinder, make sure it's okay. If there's been a ring failure and the cylinder's beyond repair, then you got to get a new one. And so it just kind of depends. Generally, what I'll do is I'll send the engines out to a engine builder, and they can build them to the spec in the class that allows them to be, make as much horsepower as possible, make things as close as they can be, get the compression to be as high as it can be, and basically make the most power. So this is just a stock engine that I've got here. So when I'm ready to rebuild it, I'll send it off to an engine builder and have it make a little more power. With these things weighing only 360 pounds and the engine's having, 15, 16 horsepower, that half horsepower is a huge deal in one of these. So when you go to compete, having a properly built engine is very important.
Now, how much does it cost you to send an engine out to be rebuilt? And when it comes back, is it ready to bolt in and go?
Yeah, it depends. Some of the places do have engine dynos where they'll run these in, break them in for you. And so it can be anywhere from like, $1,000 to $2,000. These, we've got these Briggs and Stratton is what I was talking about initially. So this is one of our rental carts our race line rental cart that I've converted into a Briggs and Stratton cart. And so as compared to one of our normal rental carts, which is this one sitting on the ground here, it's too heavy to lift up. These engines, you can get a race prepped engine built for $250 on top of the price of the engine.
But that's a a four-stroke engine, correct?
This is a four-stroke, correct. But these are like what are, this engine runs pretty common nationally. You can go to pretty much anywhere in the country and run that engine. But it is a little bit different for sure than the two-stroke. Now, is it also a centrifugal clutch? Yes, it is. Yeah, so the clutch, you can see the chain drive back there. Yeah. Right in here with the clutch there. So it's a centrifugal clutch as well. So, Alec, as long as I've been on the face of this earth, I've always heard about shifter carts. Explain that. And I have not seen one there. Do you have any? We don't. We have a couple of, I could show you this chassis back here is a shifter cart chassis. Basically, all it is usually they'll run. When I was running, I ran shifter carts with a FR125, so it's just a Honda dirt bike engine, and it's just converted to be able to run in a go-kart. So like this is your shift lever here. You've got the hand clutch on this side. Engine obviously would go there. It's also an kind of inboard, so the chain would run back in there. But it's all just it's a sequential gearbox. It's nothing too crazy, but it's basically just a dirt bike engine put on a go-kart
with engine and transmission with a dirt bike transmission as well. Correct. And
interesting.
That's with
so that makes it easy transfer from a dirt bike. If you had an old dirt bike, say for instance, and it's been wrecked, but the engine's still good, you could actually bolt it right in. Sure. And recently, in the last 5 years, the engine manufacturers for some of the some of the electric start engines, they've started building their own shifter carts. And so like the FR125, it's 125 cc. Now there is a TAG shifter cart engine that's 175 cc's. So there's kind of been some developments in the shifter cart world that have pushed the technology, which is pretty cool to see. But for the most part, when I drove shifter carts, and that's still a class that's run pretty common in the U.S., the stock moto is what it's called.
And back to the reason you started in karting, your start in karting was with an intent to get to full-size cars in the sports car category. And we know you've had, I think, tremendous success in that. What age did you start, and are you seeing that happen at your facility now as well with some of the young kids that are coming in with an intent to go sports car racing?
Yeah, definitely. I started in go-karts when I was 5 years old. Oh, gosh. So I've been driving now 20 years in my driving career. And from there, I started racing nationally when I was about 8 in the road tax category that we were talking about a little earlier. And so there's different classes where they do use little intake restrictors, exhaust restrictors, slide. If it's got a slide carburetor like the Briggs does, they've got little slide restrictors to keep you from getting full throttle. And so we do have some kids that are starting to come in and wanting to drive. And so I'm working on trying to figure out a way to get a junior league going. And actually, we've got one of the carts in here is a Briggs and Stratton that's a junior cart. And so this one has a slide restrictor in it, in the carburetor in here that doesn't give it full throttle.
Governor. Like a governor.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, like a governor, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so I part of the goal here was just helping people be able to get into the sport at again the grassroots level and have a way to get driving and understand what's going on without having to have a huge investment, and see if they like it, because it can be quite an investment. The base model of a Briggs and Stratton cart that you can get are generally around $3,500 if you want to buy it built. So you can get into the sport with that investment, or you could kind of buy one yourself, and the engines are about $1,100. and assemble it. Maybe find an old chassis that's, you can find for 250 to 500, depending on
But surely
where
there
you're
are
at.
guys out there that either moving on or up or changing chassis that may have something for sale. That would be, seems to me like a good way to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And then do you offer, again, talking about the youth coming in, do you personally offer driving schools for them? I know you offer driving. You're an instructor driver in the sports car category. Do you also offer that there at your facility for the youth coming in?
Yeah, I do. I do work a bit with some youth. So I was out at the Katy kart track not too long ago, right around Thanksgiving, actually, working with a kid who's just starting in karts. A friend of mine's, a son of a friend of mine, and so we're working trying to get him down on the correct lines. What I'll do is generally go out on the track, set cones down on the different points, and like, hey, drive to these, and then we kind of talk about the theory, very basic stuff. Like I like to tell people, okay, that line goes outside, inside, outside. So you start from like the outside of the track, get to the inside, and then go back to the outside. But I find it's interesting because these little sayings like that are slow in, fast out. So like drive slower into the corner so you can get to the throttle early, you can drive fast out. All these sayings that I use for the kids, and that's where I started coaching. Is I started coaching kids that were younger than me when I was karting. I use with my adult coaching clients as well. And so it's stuff that kind of carries all the way through the sport. But I do some coaching with youth groups, and I've been working with one of the gentlemen that's helps us do some marketing and helps us run our league racing here. We're developing a youth program and to be able to have kind of like a driving academy, so to speak, just to help people understand, help kids understand how to drive, and both on track and then as well off track, and just be more confident in driving. Because I think I see that pretty consistently across the board, that fewer and fewer kids are getting their licenses at 16, which is crazy to me. So I want to help get people encouraged and get people, to be confident in driving.
Well, Alec, we've got a couple of things that we've got to take care of here in the next 10 minutes, but let's check back in with you in about 10 minutes because I got more questions, especially in regard to your coaching and at what age these kids absorb what you're saying and can actually make the changes in their mind and on the track. So let's talk to you at the bottom of the hour about that.
Sounds great.
All right. Thanks so much, Alex Udel, with the go-kart track up in Conroe. All right. Time now for, I've got a couple of things that we're going to get to. So why don't you two swap so we can get Jeff in here to do his used car review. And one of the things that I thought while they were doing that, that you and I could talk about the events calendar and maybe auto history here.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, events, coming up over the next couple of weeks. Sunday, January 10th is the one of the monthly meets out
Did I catch you off guard or something?
Yeah, a little bit off guard.
I'm sorry.
Out at 2015 Pinemont Drive in North Houston. There'll be a meet out there at 11 a.m. To 2 p.m. Exotics on Market Street in Houston, January 16th, and that's going to be basically I-10 and I-10 and Beltway 8-ish area. Cole's Crossing Cars and Coffee at the park is 13050 Barker Cypress, and that'll be January the 16th, starting at 8 a.m., going to 10 p.m. January 31st is the HPD Twin Peaks meet in the Woodlands with Troy Dixon and that whole crew up there. And then Lone Star Throwdown, February 26th through the 28th at Lone Star Expo Center in Montgomery County Fairgrounds. That is the biggest truck show in the country, in my opinion. In my opinion, is the only one that counts.
That counts. That's exactly right. Yeah. All right. Why don't we save your auto history after Jeff gets done with his review?
Well, now that we have Jeff sitting down here, and I've burnt that little bit of time so he and Mars can swap places, go for it, Jeff.
It's going to be...
His nostrils just flared again.
Hold on. We've got a little glitch. So
No,
we have the operator is the glitch. Yes. Yeah.
Operator error.
You're going to have to get up and go over there and show him how to.
turn around?
Sorry. So while they're futzing with that, why don't you go ahead? Let me turn this off. Why don't you go ahead and do Today in Auto History?
Well, because we need to use the video Morris has over there.
Well,
and if he's jammed up on the video, I don't want to get too stuck in it.
All right.
Did you hear that Honda Motor Company has developed a mask for use in air conditioning systems in their cars that's going to block 99% of the airborne viruses?
So when you're taking somebody with COVID-19 in the back seat to the hospital, you can use that.
Well, and that's kind of not the intent of it, but it's to try and clean the virus and all of the funk in the air.
BG Products has a thing that does that.
We have a product that will clean your evaporator core.
Can you buy it?
Yep. Sure you can.
I can buy it.
Yeah, you can buy it. There's some places that would do the service for you. You can actually buy the product and do it yourself if you understand what you're doing. But yeah.
Okay. All right.
Easily enough. How we doing?
Apparently not well.
Oh, we're back to Jeff on screen. So.
Oh, okay.
You know, they say the show needs more Jeff.
We just a little 2020 carryover is what it was.
We just need to learn how to switch the videos over there.
We're good. Oh, well. We're good.
All right, Jeffrey, you're up.
Hi. We're going to do a pre-owned kart or a Peugeot 403.
No, we're not. We're not going to do that. Okay, let's do a real car that people can buy.
2016 Chevy Malibu LTZ. There are several or a few of the trim levels, which is an LS, an LT, a hybrid, and an LTZ. The LTZ is sort of the higher end of this. It is a sedan or a sedan, 5 passengers.
Depends on what part of East Texas you're from.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
There you go. It's a Euro look styling. Some call it a little boxy, but it's all a Euro look. As you see there on the screen, it's a pretty sharp looking car. The Chevrolet makes a good-looking vehicle. Now, this vehicle is actually going to be discontinued in I think they were saying anywhere from 2022 to 2024. They're going to start phasing it out. So that if you want one, to get one now.
They're going to stop building it soon.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. But this one here is 5 years old.
Yes, it is. And the reason we're doing this, I told Don the other day that we're going to make it so where we've got vehicles that are within a reasonable price range. So we're going to maybe go a little older on the year, since we are in 2021.
Kind of like a fine wine.
Sure. You know, it increases with not necessarily value, but the quality of it. So there you go. Okay. Exterior mirrors, turn signal mirrors, daytime running lights, optional rear deck spoiler, which you see there. Ventilated grille, which we just went by, but that's okay. It's a light and nimble vehicle. This one you can see, I like the styling. It's got the Euro look. It's got the Chevy badge there. Interior highlights on this, if we want to move on, it's the premium cloth, interior protection package. The speakers for it are a 6-speaker Bose system. If you were to get a luxury version of this, you were going to get 9 speakers. Good-looking cockpit interior, nice pod there. Everything, even though it's a Chevrolet, it's not like the Camaro where the vents are on the bottom. These are up in the visual area.
Center stack.
Sure, good center stack. Rear camera. It's got the optional sunroof. You've got 8-way power seats for the driver, and then of course it's 6-way manual for the passenger. Good-looking bolster on the seat. Good high headrest. Good comfortable for your back and your derriere.
God knows we need the back.
Hold you in place.
Yep, there you go. It is a bit plasticky. It's got a little bit of plastic look. Of course, they all do nowadays. The rear seating, of course, you've got there's for your 5-passenger. It's actually a 4 comfortably, but they say 5. It is a 2.4-liter 4-cylinder. I'm sorry, 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo, 16-valve dual overhead cam. With the 4-cylinder to the turbo, just the regular 4-cylinder, you're anywhere from 160 to 250.
Yeah. Get the 250.
In
the
horsepower.
turbo 250.
Exactly.
Yeah. Big difference.
Exactly. And 184 foot-pounds of torque at 2,500. It is a automatic 6-speed transmission, which is very, very capable with this motor. Good compact fit. Now, so far as the miles per gallon, you got 27 miles per gallon in the city.
Wow.
37 on the highway.
Dang.
Combined is 31. Now, if you put your foot into it, obviously you're going to get a little less than.
Well, yeah, but still, getting 31 in a mid-sized car is pretty significant.
Yeah. And putting your foot in it's kind of like putting your foot in, Mom's Buick Skylark in 1969.
I think it'd be a little bit better with the turbo, because when that turbo kicks in, it's probably feels a lot more rush of acceleration than Mom's Buick.
And that's when you're right back in the seat.
Yeah. You need a little bit more pep on the regular 4-cylinder. That's why you put the turbo, so it needs more pep. Now, something I read on this and looked into, and I looked at a lot of the other blogs and things, that the folks that do own these, they're kind of 50-50 on the quality of the engine. So be aware of that some folks did have some challenges with the engine. General Motors had some challenges, so be aware of that. Four-wheel ABS, ventilated front discs. The rears are solid. It does have the TPMS as standard. This vehicle, you're looking anywhere between 10.2 and 16.5, depending on the mileage.
16.5?
10.2 to 16.5. Now, obviously, you're gonna look into it and see what the value is. Now, Don also suggested something the other day when looking at this, that we're going to give you the retail buyer value, the bank book, on future episodes of this. So there you go.
All right. Well, thank you very much, sir. All right, we need to take a quick break. We'll move Conrad's auto history down the way, so just bear with us on that. That'll be coming your way in the next 30 minutes. I promise. Okay?
Not a problem.
I appreciate that.
No.
I'm just trying to get your approval.
You're in charge.
No, I'm not.
We're just here to follow you. You are the Hall of Famer, the Broadcasting Hall of Famer. The defamer. I'm sorry.
The defamer.
The Hall of Flame.
Hey, that's it. Former flame. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this. Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild-to-wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's premier cruise-in, and you're invited to join in. Whether you're a cruiser or spectator, Tailpipes and Tacos is the place to enjoy made-to-order breakfast tacos, fresh coffee, and mingle with Houston's fun car people. Mark your calendar for Saturday, January 16th for Tailpipes and Tacos at the Lupe Tortilla Mexican Restaurant in Katy, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Tailpipes and Tacos is free, and everyone is invited. You'll see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods all at one location. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a friends and family event. The Lupe Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupe founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise in, Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, January 16th, 8 to 11 a.m. at Lupe's in Katy. The In Real Time Car Show will be there too. Get your ride ready, and we'll see you at the Tailpipes and Tacos Saturday morning cruise in, January 16th, 8 to 11 a.m. at Lupe's in Katy, weather permitting. Hello, everybody. This is the award-winning car talk show In Wheel Time, your weekly go-to all things automotive place. Along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong, Jeff Zekin, I'm Don Armstrong. Glad that you could join us today. And while we wait on getting reconnected with Alec Udell down there at the Houston Karting Center, we are going to look at This Week in Automotive History. And Mr. King Conrad DeLong happens to have that, as he does every week.
Well, we have a little story to start with from your home area.
Oh, Lord.
Otto Zachow and William Burserdich of Clintonville, Wisconsin, in 1908 received a patent for their four-wheel braking system.
We were close friends.
You
Neighbors.
probably were. And their patent is built around, still to this day, the modern automotive braking system still uses those designs that they did in that original patent. They were also the inventors of the very first successful four-wheel drive car in 1908, and they followed it up with their auto company called the Badger Four-Wheel Drive Auto Company.
That's a sharp-looking vehicle there.
That is it, and that was actually used during World War I.
Is that solid rubber tires?
That is solid rubber tires.
Wow. Right, great.
In 1909, a graceful 1,470-foot span across the East River of New York City opened on this day. That's the Badger Automobile Company there. And then the next one is the Manhattan Bridge, was the fourth bridge built across the East River of New York. And I couldn't imagine working on that back then because there was no OSHA. People didn't survive working on some
scary.
of those. But those suspension bridges, it's amazing. And then in 1938, actress Florence Lawrence passed away. She received no patent at the time and is now credited with the first mechanical turn signals and brake lights. So a woman driver created turn signals and brake lights and ended up without receiving any patent rights to it. And then in 1937, safety glass became mandatory in Great Britain. Unlike ordinary glass that breaks into big shards, safety glass, and we use it to this day, this tempered glass breaks into these little pebbles so it doesn't do additional injury to the person inside the car. And then this is Highway 110 in Los Angeles in 1940, the Arroyo Seco Parkway.
I think that's called Arroyo
Seco Parkway.
Something like that.
Connected L.A. to Pasadena, and some of those people are still stuck in traffic to this day.
Is that Pass-A-Get-Down, Dina? No, there's only one.
Dina.
There's only one of those.
Colin Chapman founded Lotus Engineering Company in 19.
Colin, not Colin.
Colin. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm off to my doctor's appointment. Colin Chapman founded Lotus.
Just don't start coughing.
And their first production car, which is the Mark VI. In 1955, General Motors announced a net income of $1 billion, the first automobile company to get there. In 1957, Volkswagen created its 2 millionth vehicle, which was a bug. In 1961, automobile designer Bill Mitchell received a Christmas gift from General Motors on this day when his 2 car designs were selected for production, which was the 1963 Buick Riviera and the 1963 Corvette split window.
Yep.
So, pretty interesting. Mitchell had such an influence on vehicle design at General Motors.
And I have to tell you,
and that's this week in automotive history.
Thank you very much. I got an opportunity to meet and get my picture taken with Zora Arkus Duntov, the father of the Corvette.
Wow.
And we asked him specifically about the split window. And the split window was not intended to happen. You'll notice that it was only 1 year.
Yeah.
The intention was to have a full piece of glass in that area back there where the split window first occurred.
Absolutely.
And the unfortunate thing was when it went into production, the glass company, whoever the supplier was not able to make one piece of glass to go across.
With
so
those
the answer,
folds in it. Yeah.
Right. So the answer was to put a rib down the middle and make 2 pieces of glass, and that's why you see the split window. Yeah.
Yep.
So I just wanted to pass that along.
Cool.
Yeah.
You met our Duntov.
Yes, and his wife. I
How
certainly
cool is
did.
that?
Yep, and I met him somewhere around here. I don't see it on the wall in here now, but it's in the back. Yeah, I have a picture of he and his wife, and I can't remember her name, but
Mrs. Duntov.
Yeah.
And now let's move on to the next famous automotive person we know, and that's Alec Udell.
Alec, it's good to have you back again. I know that we've been a pest all day, but we can't stop talking about karting. And you had mentioned something in our last segment about you teaching kids how to drive karts, race karts, and the actual ins and outs of going in and out of turns and that sort of thing. So my question to you is, at what age do these kids, I guess it's mainly boys, or do you find girls coming up through the ranks as well these days?
Yeah, I definitely majority are guys are young boys.
Yep.
There are some young girls that are racing as well. I haven't worked with too many. I actually raced when I was younger, like from when I was about 10 to 15, I raced on a team with a girl who was a really great driver. So there definitely are, and there are a lot of great women drivers out there in the sport. And that's one of the cool things about motorsport. I'm going to go on a short tangent, is that, everyone's on the same playing field. It doesn't matter, guy or girl, we all race the same, and we're all out there. It just matters who wins.
Yeah, I saw a documentary not that long ago about karting, and I don't recall what channel or what it was, but memory serves me correctly. I think that the youngest that I saw was like 3.
Oh, gosh.
That was in a go-kart. Obviously, Dad propelled him into this.
Yeah.
But my question to you is at what age, generally speaking, at what age does a child understand how and why that you make the turn in to a turn slower than you come out of the turn to get the best time. Because it seems to me that there is a huge learning curve in how to drive. It's not like teaching somebody how to read. It's a lot of it has to do with feel. And so you tell me, at what age do the kids really start absorbing what you're trying to teach them?
Certainly. I think the ages where kids really start picking it up is around 7 and 8. I do work with, or I have worked with kids as young as like 5 and 6. The problem with having a kid that young is the cart that they're in, you can almost drive full throttle around the whole track. So you don't really, you're really focused on getting them confident with the speed. And so that's really what you start out with. And to an extent, that's what you start out with anyone when they're first getting into, racing or track driving. Is getting them comfortable with the speed that they are able to carry through the turn. And then from there, you're able to work on, okay, now we've got to, on these particular turns, we've got to make sure we slow down so the car doesn't slide. And what does it feel like for the car to slide and all that? And so that's kind of, I'd say about 7 or 8 is when you get into really more of the technical details. But I guess you can get into some of the understanding when you have kids that are about 4, 5, and 6, but it's very basic at that level.
Right.
And so, about 7 and 8, you can kind of start getting a bit more of the technical details.
Well, I know that my girl's grandmother gave one of the girls, I don't know which one it was, gave her a Barbie type Porsche or a Corvette or something, battery powered. And basically all it had was a green button for go. There was no speed. It was either on or off. And the red button, I think, was a brake. And it was hard for me to teach the difference between the two. They'd step on the red button, the green button. Why are you laughing and turning red?
Well, because we're talking about karting, and you're going to the electric Corvette, Barbie Corvette.
I know, but I'm just trying to explain.
Sorry about the kids learning and
exactly
because they got no experience to build on at that early age.
To know that the green button on the floor of the Barbie car means go, and at 3 or 4 or 5 years old, whatever that was a hard concept for them. They didn't quite understand it. They didn't get pressing the green button meant that you went forward. That took a while for me to teach that. Maybe I'm obviously
I was going to say it could have been the teacher.
So, do you find that kind of learning curve in karting as well?
Not quite as much. I don't think. I think a lot of the kids that are jumping into it, like certainly when I was getting into karting for the first time, I had that desire, and I had the same kind of thing. I had the little Tykes car that I had driven around, so I had picked that up. But funny enough, you say the red and the green. I'm looking at our rental go-karts out here, and we've got the same thing. We've got the red and the green.
Green go and red stop.
Exactly.
See, you were right on the money, Don.
So can I say this to Conrad? Shut up.
So Alec, let me ask you this.
Doesn't say Barbie.
Take that same concept. Now, I'm a little bit older than what your average karting student, but let's say we're at the track, and you're going to take somebody my age. Well, let's go even further. Let's go to Don's age. And so I
have the control over here to do this. So now he's not even on the air, and he cannot ask the question. So we're just going to move on.
Do you find your teaching technique varies with the age of the student? Let's go at it that way.
Yeah, that could be the way to do it.
I think it definitely it can change. And so what I've done actually is I've created some online training to give people the basic fundamental understanding of like how to drive and like. Okay, so this, say you're coming up to a hairpin, what kind of line should you drive through it? Or, okay, I'm going to the track for the first time. What should I be thinking when I'm going to the track? And so what I've found is it's kind of consistent, but it takes meeting the person, kind of where they're at, as well as, what kind of process how they learn best. And so some people learn best by by seeing it. And so like in the trainings on the website that I've created, if it's got my explanations, drawing it out on pieces of paper, it's got a video, and some people like to hear it and see it, and kind of some people have to feel it. But I think at every level it takes practice, and so you can talk about it quite a lot. You can confuse people too much, but what really it gets down to is, like I was saying a second ago with like, okay, you've got outside, inside, outside for lines. You've got to give someone very basic things to think about, because when you're driving on a track, it's same thing as when you're 5 years old as when you're, 55, 65. There's so many things coming at you so quickly, it's hard to process all the information. So you've got to be ahead of the car and thinking about very few things when you're driving. And so that's kind of, on the website that I've created, onlineracingcourses.com, there's trainings in there that break it down super simply, that people can understand, okay, this is how I drive fast on a track, and know that it's not, you don't want to overcomplicate it. You just want to make it as simple as possible.
Do you think
so that holds consistent?
Do you find that it's tougher? You've got a 10-year-old here. You got basically a blank slate. They haven't been driving before.
No bad
you've got
habits.
somebody that bad habits.
Right.
Now you've got somebody like me that's been driving for a long time, we'll say, and so I think I know what I'm doing.
Tickets.
And so I've got bad habits, and is it tougher to help me overcome those bad habits?
It certainly can be, but you've got. It depends on the person always. With the 10-year-old, they can listen to you as much as they want, but sometimes it's hard to convey the point in a way that they understand it. And so being able to get the point across, to be like, hey, listen to what I'm saying, because I think, all of us have experienced the 10-year-old that knows best, right? And all of us also have experienced the adult that knows best. And so it kind of depends on the personality of the person that you're working with. And that's where it comes into, like, meeting them where they're at and being able to show them, like, hey, I know what I'm doing. This is why I'm here. And I'm here to help you get faster. And I've been through all these things. So just work with me. And so being able to get to that relationship is really important. So there's a lot of interpersonal dynamics that happen as well. And, kind of being able to go through all that has been quite a growing and learning experience for myself.
How much do your one-on-one lessons cost?
So on my, when I do the one-on-one lessons with sports car racing, it's I'm $1,500 a day for the teams that I work with, for the drivers.
Yeah.
And I try not to I don't do too much of the during the season with the sports car racing. I don't do too much of the karting coaching. If I'm going out to the track myself, I'll help people out and give some pointers here and there as well, and try and work with people that are working with me. But we do have other coaches up at the track that can help, and they'll do, generally in karting, the going rate's about $250 to $500 a day for coaching. So that's kind of, it just depends on who you get, where they're at. But for myself, I tend to stick to the sports car racing just because it's a bit more technical. I'm very good at going through the data and going through the breaking down the understanding and kind of the physics behind everything. And so that's where I like or where I find quite a lot of value. And I do try and help and get people started and working with like the big groups that we have that come up to our kart tracks. I enjoy that because I'm able to reach more than one person. And so that's kind of what I like doing.
Yeah, and I love you post a lot of stuff on social media about driving techniques, driving skills, driving education, as well as some philosophical stuff. And I follow you on some of that, and I share some of that on our Facebook page. And I invite anybody to go ahead and follow you directly and not have to come through our Facebook page. It's a lot of fun. You're a very intelligent young man. That I aspire to be. Do you have a ride this year coming up?
Yeah, so I have a few things. It looks not a full season ride just yet. I'm working on a couple of things in like SRO, and then I actually have been working on some sponsorship and some deals for a couple of the NASCAR Truck Series races at the road courses.
Oh, cool.
So
that'd be a hoot, huh?
Yeah, so still working on that. Still looking for a few more partners, but we're getting close. And
anybody out there that wants to help him, you can get a hold of us at info@inwheeltime.com, and we'll pass it on to Alec.
Awesome, yeah.
Well, Alec, it's great. Listen, I can't thank you enough for spending the time with us this morning. I know you're a busy guy, and you got stuff going out there at the go-kart track. Tell everybody once again where the go-kart track is.
Yeah, we're up in Conroe on South Loop 336 East. So 3528 South Loop 336 East, just about 20 minutes north of the Woodlands.
And you got a website?
Yeah, just HoustonKartingComplex.com. You can search us on Google. We should be the first thing that pops up unless there's an ad that had bought our name there.
Great. Okay.
It tends to happen.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, again, thanks.
Yeah.
Good luck. Let's touch base before you get going in racing season again.
Sounds great. Always love being on In Wheel Time.
Thanks for coming on.
We really appreciate it. Alec Udell. I wanted to, why don't we get what, I know that you've got Conrad's Car Clinic.
It's okay. We can skip it. I'm looking at time. We're good.
Okay. You sure?
Good. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, I did want to talk about some of the cars that are going to debut in 2021. This is from Automotive News. Acura, the luxury brand's flagship, the MDX, is set to launch in February with an all-new, what they call ultra-rigid platform, new styling, and a redesigned interior. Alfa Romeo, I love the name of this, production of the toenail.
No, it can't be. It's got to be. It's got to be pronounced something else.
Probably Tonali, but it looks like toenail. Production of there it is.
Spell it.
Tonale.
Oh gosh.
The toenail. Plug-in hybrid compact crossover is slated to begin.
So smaller than the Stelvio?
That's insane. I saw that and thought, what is that?
It's a toenail.
It's a toenail. Aston Martin, or as some guy that I used to know called it, an Austin Martin. Two limited run models, the Valkyrie and the V12 Speedster will launch in the first half of this year.
Everything they do is limited, and I love them.
Audi, a sportback version of the Q5 crossover, arrives in the first half. In the second half, the brand will launch two EVs, the Q4 e-tron and the e-tron GT. Okay. Bentley Speed and Bentley Bentayga hybrid variants are set for the first half, while the bespoke Bacalar, where did they come up with these names? Bacalar Roadster will arrive later.
Bacalar.
I'm sure they'll
got to be pronounced different than what you're saying.
Probably Bacalarette, but at any rate, there it is right there, the Bentley Bacalar. Bacalar.
It's the way it reads.
I just read them. I don't. BMW. What is that? Break my wallet? BMW redesigns of the performance M3 sedan and the M4 coupe are coming in March.
And they're going to change that front grille to the twin Edsel's.
Oh, Lord, that's ugly.
Really
Buick, now featuring a car-free lineup. The General Motors brand will launch its redesigned Envision compact crossover early in the year. They didn't say what date.
Well, remember, the Envision is the one Buick builds in China.
Okay. Well, let's scratch that off the list. Cadillac. The CT4V Blackwing and CT5V Blackwing performance sedans are coming this summer. Chevrolet, production of a freshened Bolt and new utility version of the electric nameplate will begin in the summer. Silverado full-size pickup, along with its GMC Sierra sibling, gets a freshening with a significant reworking of the interior, adding technology and larger screens plus minor exterior
Trying to make
changes.
the interior as nice as the Ram?
They're trying. I don't know as if that'll ever happen.
They haven't got there yet.
No, they have not. Dodge, two performance-minded variants, imagine that, arrive early in the year. The Durango SRT Hellcat. Didn't you have that, Mars?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And the Charger SRT Hellcat Red Eye, which I believe I have out there.
Yes, sir.
Ferrari, the SF90 Stradale, or Stradale.
Stradale. Stradale.
Stradale.
Stradale.
There's no Stratadale.
Isn't that a town outside of San Antonio?
Would you like to go?
Stradale.
No, there's no T. It's Stradale.
I don't know.
Plug-in
not
hybrid
Italian.
should arrive in early 2021 with a Portofino M. I know that one because there's a wine, Portofino wine, will launch in the summer. Ford, highly anticipated Bronco SUV, originally set for a spring launch, will instead reach showrooms in the summer because of the coronavirus. The high-performance Mach 1 variant of the Mustang will debut in the spring. Later in the year, a small pickup that will likely be called the Maverick should launch. Yes,
The Maverick is back.
Are you kidding me?
That's what it says. Genesis, this is all from Automotive News. Genesis, Korean luxury brand, will launch the GV70 compact crossover and EV.
Well, that's what Jack was talking
That's
about
what Jack
earlier.
was talking earlier. GMC, freshened Sierra and Silverado pickups from Chevy. Honda, 11th generation Civic, set to go on sale in sedan form in the spring as a 2022 model. Okay.
Think of the Civic. It's been around since the 70s.
With the hatchback variant following later, elsewhere in the lineup, a redesigned HRV subcompact crossover is expected to debut. Hyundai, redesigned 2022 Tucson, or Tucson, as you would like to call it. While the
Toenail.
The Santa Cruz pickup is expected in the third quarter. The Hyundai is using the Ioniq name.
Ionic.
You say tomato, I say tomato. You know. Yes, all of that. Do I need to go on? Or
No, please do. Please do.
You sure?
Yeah, I think people want to know what's coming.
Okay.
You got plenty left?
As we all do.
What's coming from Subaru? I see Subaru written down
Let's see. Subaru, the redesigned 2022 BRZ Coupe.
Oh, your favorite. That roller skate.
Just go ahead. Just go ahead and shoot me now. Why even redesign it? Why not just exit it off the map? Because nobody buys it.
Porsche coming out with something?
Tesla, Cybertruck, an avant-garde behemoth is set to go in production late in the year. However, given the plant in Austin, Texas, where the electric truck is to be produced, is still under construction. Launch may slip to 2022. Toyota, the Tundra, redesigned Tundra, after its 10-year anniversary, is set to debut at dealerships in the second half of the year.
I hope they build a fuel economy model because that thing is a gas hog.
Yeah, there's just so much wrong with that Tundra. I'm sorry. Volkswagen's lineup will expand in 2021 with the launch of the ID4 EV in the first quarter and the Taos, Taos subcompact crossover in the summer. 8th generation Golf will launch in the second half, but only the GTI and R trims only. And Volvo C40, a sporty electric crossover, should launch in the second half.
No new Polestar?
I didn't see anything about Polestar on here.
The Volvo Polestar.
Does anybody that come up with these names, do they ever do any research on them?
I'm not real sure.
Because they certainly didn't talk to me about it.
I'm a little confused about the Blackwing at Cadillac as being their performance version when, V-Series has been their performance version. A proven name. People hear V-Series at Cadillac. They know what to expect. Well, now they're going to have a V-Series Blackwing. What is that going to add to the car?
Maybe that's the formal V-Series?
The black one?
Yeah. No, I would imagine that it's probably some supercharged four-cylinder or something.
Well, that's what they're doing
not.
is turbocharging the four-cylinder in the XT4 or the CT4 anyhow.
Yeah, so put a bigger turbocharger on it and up the horsepower to 350 or something, and now you got the black one.
Paint it all black wheels, black it out.
Okay.
I think they call murdering it.
Okay. Because V-Series, they've spent a lot of money on the branding of V-Series, and I think they've effectively created a Cadillac V-Series brand, and now they're going to introduce Blackwing over the top of it. To me, it's kind of confusing.
Let's take a break, and we'll be right back.
Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's premier cruise-in, and you're invited to join in. Whether you're a cruiser or spectator, Tailpipes and Tacos is the place to enjoy made-to-order breakfast tacos, fresh coffee, and mingle with Houston's fun car people. Mark your calendar for Saturday, January 16th for Tailpipes and Tacos at the Lupi Tortilla Mexican Restaurant in Katy, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Tailpipes and Tacos is free and everyone is invited. You'll see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods all at one location. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a friends and family event. The Lupi Tortilla Mexican restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupi founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise in, tailpipes and tacos. Saturday, January 16th, 8 to 11 a.m. at Lupi's in Katy. The In Real Time Car Show will be there too. Get your ride ready and we'll see you at the Tailpipes and Tacos Saturday morning cruise in, January 16th, 8 to 11 a.m. at Lupi's in Katy, weather permitting. Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild to wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com.
Well, I don't know about you, but boy, am I glad this is over with.
I thought it was a good show.
Well, that's it for this episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. Hey, when you're on Facebook, please give us a like, tell your friends about us, and share our junk. You'll get Conrad's Unicorn hunting features along with all things automotive all week long. The In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and on InWheelTime.com. Podcasts available on Pandora, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict. Special thanks to all of our guests today, especially Alec Udell. The In Real Time Chief Engineer is the fabulous David Ainsley. Our video technical director, sales and marketing man is Jeffrey Zeke. And this week's In Real Time Car Show is produced and directed by the Health and Human Services Division of the Chinese government. For booking agent and podcast man Mike Out of This World Mars and his royalty, King Conrad DeLong, I'm Don Armstrong saying so long for now, and we hope you'll join us on our next live show next Saturday, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central Time, right here on the Smoke and Mirrors Network. Thanks for being part of the In Wheel Time family. Mask up and stay healthy. This is Don Armstrong saying so long for now.